No, I'd like to say here first and foremost for anyone who's listening, not if you're watching. If you're watching, ignore this. If you're listening, we are the best looking guys, the four of us.
Do not look that up.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Don't fact check.
If you're listening,
also,
Yeah.
this is a very diverse podcast.
Very diverse.
Oh yeah.
One of
Yes.
the most diverse podcasts.
Yeah, like four corners of the world. I mean, we're all over.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm actually
I'm
from
part
another
Lebanese
country,
and
so-
Iranian.
We don't look like we could all be related at all.
No, especially not two of us.
Yeah, I was gonna say the three
Specifically.
of you, absolutely. I'm an immigrant, so
We all look like distant cousins. Oh, that's so funny.
I'm just
Dan
saying, we
maybe into the
definitely
family.
have more than one, non-white person on this podcast. So.
I forgot to tell you this. So if you're listening to this, this is a little bit. This was on our side chat, so we didn't talk about this on the show. But I sent Kyle a picture of someone who I was in a meeting with, and I was like, Kyle, this guy looks like you.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean that as an insult whatsoever. It's like, he kind of looked like he could be your brother or something. And I showed my wife, and she goes, "Looks like you too." And I was like, "All right, you're right." He looked,
That's
it's true. It's true.
yeah. And we have brought up on the podcast so you and I jumped in a video game together, and both of our characters look the same. It's just like, God damn it, Tim.
absolutely.
We're so basic.
There's just no getting. If you're a white dude with glasses and a beard, we all look the same. I'm sorry. We all
I
do.
don't know where Tim begins and Kyle ends, and vice versa.
That's that's very strange. Hey.
Oh, is that your Doctor Strange thing?
Maybe, I don't know.
I was doing kind of.
I feel like Wanda could make that a reality, like you guys being
Probably.
one person.
That's
Sure. Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
the two
yeah.
we look way more alike than Wanda's, the two versions of her brothers, in WandaVision and in Age of Ultron. We look way more alike.
Yeah. If I listen, if I put on a baseball cap right now with the Colorado flag on it, you wouldn't be able to tell who was Tim and who was Kyle, and I promise you that.
It's a good point.
Even Jeff would Jeff and Dan wouldn't know. We would just blend in.
It's a good point.
I would have to act more distracted by children or something, and
I could, if I just turn around and I go, what?
It would have to have like sword
you
flags
leave?
or whatever.
Just every once in a while, just mute yourself and go like this off camera.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a visual joke for the YouTube audience.
Yeah, right.
Very welcome.
Some really good,
That is,
audio
Tim yelling
only
at one of his
content.
37 kids.
All right. Well, we are in episode 114 of the Current Gen podcast. 4 of the 5 of us are here. Derek, we think he's still alive, but we haven't heard from him in a little while. So thoughts?
No, I was making fun of him about Overwatch in our group, or not Overwatch. Outriders.
I think
same difference, am I right? Same difference.
It's the same thing, right, guys?
Same thing.
Derek actually sent me a message. He said he sent his girlfriend a ticket. I think it was to one-way ticket to Pound Town, maybe, or.
Oh God, that got really crap.
So he's really busy because he's on a trip. He's on a one-way trip. So
That does sound like a name of a town in Florida.
2 tickets to paradise.
It really does. It really does. All right, so I had to call Southwest today. I thought you guys could appreciate this because a few of you have traveled at least a little bit, and I've had to change. No, that's not where we're going. I've had to change tickets just for myself for business trips and stuff, and that's a hassle, but it is what it is. Changing tickets, large rental vans, and a hotel stay for 8 of us. No, 9 of us. Sorry, I miscounted my kids. For 9 of us.
37 of us.
It's easy to lose track when you have that many. Gee,
You know what?
You're pitching the start to Home Alone right now, aren't you?
I am.
You are.
I am.
Tim, did you leave one at home?
Go.
This is the prequel to Home Alone.
We leave one at home. Go.
This is Home Together.
I was actually in my head. I was thinking like me plus 8, but whatever. Anyway,
Sure.
all that to say, doing that for that many people is such a freaking nightmare. It's such a nightmare.
I bet.
We got an email from Southwest saying your flight's been changed, and so we had 2 middle of the day flights. They were nonstop. We found them. They were in our price range. Middle of the day, we're going to be out on the East Coast for a week visiting family, going to the beach, and the middle of the day to fly back. Had it all set up, and they moved our flights. One of them on the way out is now going to arrive like at 1 a.m. or something, and the one on the way back is now like a 6 or 7 hour travel day with a stop and a plane change in the middle. I'm like,
Good Lord.
if it's me by myself, I'm probably just like, whatever. I don't want to. I'm just going to take what.
Yeah.
They already changed it for me. I'm just going to go with it.
Right.
But it's not me. It's kids who are going to be nuts, and that's going to be a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. So I called Southwest, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because the difference between the Southwest commercials and especially like all their recordings when you're on hold, it sounds so friendly. Like immediately I'm like, I am so glad we are going with Southwest because all the recordings are like, we're so sorry you're on hold. We like you. We want to talk to you. We want to help you out. Like,
You
it's
matter.
serious. It's
like,
very
like affirmations. Yeah.
Oh yeah, talk about like their bags.
Your boss appreciates your hard work.
They're saying all this stuff. The want to get away. They're saying all the slogans that I've seen on football game commercials. And I'm like, yeah, all right. And then the person picks up, and I kid you not, she did not want to talk to anybody. So she answered, and she goes, "Southwest, how can I help you?" Like, and that was her tone the entire conversation. So imagine trying to. It's the kind of person when you explain, here's my name, here's my confirmation number, here's what happened. I'd like to see if there's other options because everything looks super expensive. And so I would lay all this out for her. And I'm not kidding. She just goes, confirmation number. I was like, are you the Mike Wazowski lady from Monsters? Like, what is this?
Mike Wazowski.
Yeah, that's what she sounds like. She didn't sound like that. That's what she was acting like. And then I had several moments where my wife's on her phone looking up flight options to try to read off like, hey, can we get this flight number? These would work for us. We think we're making it easier. So I'm reading, she goes, what are other flights you'd like? So I was reading those to her and she wouldn't respond. So like when you read a flight number off and here's the time it leaves, it would just get quiet. And I would sometimes hear her go like, that was it. It's just real quiet. And I immediately realized this is what happened. It's a Friday evening, and I'm calling their off-hours support team, and I'm like, "Oh, this is my fault."
But they're there to work,
right? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you need to fall on the sword, Tim. I don't know if that's your job.
So where I work now, I process claims, but I
did figure it out. By the way, it just took super long, and she was horrible. But
I worked in member service, so I worked on the phones like health insurance. So imagine something like that that's super important.
Oh yeah.
Calling with like just extreme questions. And I actually, when I was in training, I had what they called a blue alert, which is when somebody's going to harm themselves potentially. So this was during training, and I had someone potentially saying they were going to do that, and I was like, somebody
isn't there a hotline?
We have an adult in here.
Well, so basically she was confused, like she was like thinking that there was all these like bills that she owed. She thought that claims weren't being paid. There was just confusion, and she was just like,
I guess health insurance doesn't matter.
She was at the end of her rope, and she just kind of was getting emotional, and you know,
it happens, you know, when you're calling like doctors or like you can get wound up in like.
So it's like if I can do that and be normal about it, then you can help Timmy here with his plane trip and not.
The other thing was like I was very pleasant. I had all my information. Like I had my confirmation number. I had all the details, and we already had the alternate flights we would like. We weren't asking her to find them for us. We said, here are the three that we're a
perfect customer.
We were ready to go.
It sounds like
so. It's like don't be a douche.
Did literally everything right.
Yeah, don't be a douche. Do your job, lady.
Now, to her credit, she put me on hold several times, and it was the classic like, sir, can I put you on a brief hold? And then the hold music would start. She didn't wait for me to say yes, that's okay. She just said, can I put you on a brief hold? And then they would go like, we love you here at Southwest.
You're like you're having like emotional whiplash from like the really nice robot lady and like the not so pleasant.
Ups and downs.
It was the same stark contrast between and Wall-E when you see what the people are supposed to look like on the spaceship enjoying the things they have, and the people in the seats. There's like a motorcycle gang that just went by my house.
Cool.
Yeah, I heard you talking crap about Southwest. We're the Southwest gang.
I pity the fool who talk about Southwest.
Body bags fly free. All right.
Put them in a body bag.
All right, so there you go. There's my customer service story. And Dan, I'm with you. I think most people who are on the phones are probably pretty good people who do want to work. They want to make the money and they don't want to lose their job. But some people.
Yeah, I mean, like
her name was. I don't know what her name was.
Obviously, face to face is trickier because it's like somebody's threatening you to your face. It's way more intense than on the phone. But there was times where I got some pretty awful human beings, and it's like I'm still doing my job. Like
absolutely, man.
You know, so
people get crazy.
I work in IT. For Kyle's job is way more high stress than probably any of us because he does face to face interactions. Working in security.
I literally have no soul, so it's
you're like,
really takes nothing off me.
At this point, you're like, whatever. I don't have
so now to like the human condition.
I have nothing left to lose.
Yeah, I've got nothing left to bleed, guys.
IT stuff for like very specific IT stuff. Specific type of support, like a level 2 type of support for specific applications, and even still, we will get yelled at sometimes, and we're like, what? Why I'm like Vince Vaughn in Wedding Crashers. Why are you yelling at me? I don't.
Yeah. Why?
Well, because they need a therapist, and in that moment, you're the therapist. They're unloading. You know.
Yeah. It's all. I always want to ask, like, what's the goal here? Like, what are we both trying to accomplish? You're just trying to get through your shift. I get it. I'm actually a pretty easy phone call. I'm not going to put you through the ringer. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm
that's the other thing. Maybe she was yelled at all day. You know what I mean? By like idiot.
It's not Tim's fault though. That's the thing that
it's not Tim's fault, but it's hard. It's hard to like separate, the day from at the moment. You have to.
I mean, I was frustrated, but when I got on the phone, I was very kind because I was changing hotels, and because now we're going to a totally different city. It's the only thing that we could not get the price to get jacked way up. And so we're flying into a different city, which is actually a little closer to where we're driving to. So it's fine. Along the East Coast, Dan knows, along the East Coast, all those big cities seem like they're close together. And if you're going to go into going to like a Delaware beach is one of the places where we're heading. So there's a whole bunch of cities that have an airport that's within, 3 hours or less driving time. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we figured it out. It's a first world problem. And it's more just me venting about like, if you don't want to, can you just call it off? Like get a personal day, quit your job, something like, can I talk to someone who wants to be there, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because guess what? I don't want to be on this phone call either.
Oh, I would love
to you know what I mean? Like
I went to your website and it was so my wife found a great deal on these tickets, and like our total for all of us traveling, and I forget the number because I don't know how many kids I have, but the total for all of us traveling, she found it the total is under 4,000, which is incredible. So she found this amazing, and so we don't want that price to get jacked up. Every other alternative that we were finding on Southwest site, unless we do the middle of the night flight, was going to be like 10 grand. So we were like, okay, we're not doing this. We're not tripling our cost here. So
no.
So I was already coming in at frustrated and frazzled, but I took a deep breath and I was very kind, had all my stuff ready, and Lady Southwest was having none of it. But anyway, we figured it out. I shouldn't say having none of it. She was just in a bad mood, but she still ended up helping me, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
She did the bare minimum. Congratulations.
Well, the moral of this episode is that Southwest lady sucks. All right, bye everybody.
In general, Southwest is a better airline than others in my experience, but
I agree with that. Yeah.
Some of the worst ones are those really cheap ones, like the
Spirit.
Like
Spirit's the worst,
Frontier,
man. It's a 50-50 when you're buying a Spirit ticket if like you're even gonna if that flight even exists.
Frontier,
yeah, exactly.
Like they'll either delay it or completely like, we just canceled that whole flight. I'm like, well, that's 200.
You didn't want to be on it anymore. We just assumed
Spirit,
you didn't want to be on it.
I think JetBlue's in that same category, and Frontier. Those are all three kind of like.
I like United apparently.
I like United.
Yeah, United's okay. Yeah. Well, they're trustworthy too. Like,
and sometimes American Airlines.
My parents are obsessed with American Airlines. So anytime like they're like, we come out, I'll buy you a ticket, we'll do I hate American Airlines like that. I've had nothing but bad experiences with them. Like I'm always on a plane at least, but like their customer service and like just their people that work for them are the crappiest people that I've ever had to deal with.
Yeah.
Not unlike your story tonight, Tim. So.
Yep. I mean, hire people that want to work there. Whatever. All right. Hey, let's do a brief. Unless you've got a lot to share about your backlog Hall of Shame game. I don't. So we'll do a brief update.
I don't either.
Is that an every episode thing? Because I didn't realize that.
if you've played it at all. If you haven't, that's fine. But
I don't think any of us.
I have not played any, and I'll tell you, and I'll talk about why later. There's a couple other games I've been playing this week that took up my time. I wanted to finish up some other stuff. So I have not played any more Sleeping Dogs since we last talked about it, but I am 100% fully planning on still playing it. I did, like I said last week, like it. But did anyone else make any more progress in your
actually, I did play a couple. I did finish kind of that main quest there on the desert planet. Now that I'm
Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah, I went down into that like sort of like what is it? Remnant. I think they're calling them remnants. That whole cool sci-fi, like futuristic, nice and clean, but like green lights everywhere, sort of like chasm or like this whole like dungeon.
I love how they opened up that whole mystery, and we're definitely going to see the end of that at some point, right, guys?
Okay,
that's super cool.
We're totally
absolutely
getting
the remnants are really cool.
At least 3 more games, right?
That's one of my favorites of that game.
The structures was just like everything just looked really cool.
It's very ancient,
alien.
Very like ancient civilization that you're kind of stumbling upon. I don't know, like the whole Indiana Jones aspect of this particular game about the remnants specifically. That's all my favorite parts of this game.
Yeah. So I did finish that. So yeah, I kind of forgot because that was
played more than I did, right? So you played a little bit at least of Andromeda.
I played a little more Zelda, which I'm surprised I'm one of the 2 people who did homework this week. So
Skyward Sword.
So that's so unlike me. Usually I'm the blow it off type, but I played a little more. I'm finally on the ground, but I stopped there. So like 3 hours into this game, I'm finally off of Skyloft, and like Zelda games, you really need to pick up the prequels, like the not the prequel, but the setup like phase of your games. Because I remember the even like Twilight Princess was like 2.5 hours of like being a wolf. Just like I just want to swing a sword, guys. Like, why am there's so much setup in these games. You know, it doesn't have that. Breath of the Wild. It literally throws you directly into the game, and like, I don't know, that felt modern to me.
Ocarina's pretty quick too.
Ocarina's kind of quick, but there's the whole Kokiri village.
The whole village thing where it's like get a stick.
Yeah,
well, you get the sword.
You are in the Deku Tree pretty quick, but like there's 45 minutes to an hour and a half of like crap that you got to do before you get there, you know, and it's okay, you know, that's better than 2 or 3 hours, you know.
What a good game! I love Ocarina of Time. What a good
Me too. I'm a huge fan of Ocarina.
You know what?
A little bit.
Stone Cold's favorite. You can't talk about Zelda without talking about Stone Cold's favorite.
Which is what? Breath of the Wild, right?
Breath of the what?
Breath of the Wild.
I like exploring with no side missions.
So someone on Twitter actually brought up a good point. Because I posted the picture that Dan made of Stone Cold.
Thank you.
And they made a good point of we missed a chance to put Breath of the what. I was like, oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wanted the Zelda part. I wanted what there to make it nice and big. You know what? So
it's all right. We give you a B for effort. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Not to dwell on my Zelda experience, but I find the controls on the joystick subpar at best.
Sure.
Sure. You know, it gets the job done, but like sometimes I'm like, I kind of hit that. I don't know why you're not swinging.
Do you want to just like hit a button to swing? Are you at that point?
I would love that. Yeah, I would love. I don't care about like the lateral, horizontal. Like I feel like they thought that was a good idea and like doesn't move me at all.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
But aren't there certain enemies where you need to do a vertical or diagonal?
You do, yeah. So and the joystick will work. Most 90% of the time, what you hit is what it does it, but like 10% is a pretty good chunk of time for it not to work. You know, for a game when you press a button and swing a sword, like it always works. You know, so anyways, I'm really I think I'm enjoying it more as I'm playing with it, but like it's subpar at best. Best music in the series, I think this game has like some of the best music in the entire series. It's completely crazy. I mean, it's the first orchestrated Zelda of all the entire series, and they really nailed it, I thought. And I'm only a little bit into the game, and I think I've heard like a lot of songs that I'm just like, oh, this is like excellent, you know. So yeah. Anyways, that's kind of my.
I don't know why I thought that Wind Waker was orchestrated. I know the remake was, but like
the remake was. I mean, it's synthesized to be orchestrated, but a real orchestra didn't play it. You know?
Got it. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Have you played any more of Rat Tail, Plague Tale?
No, the game's depressing as hell. I need to get into a better. I really need to get into a better frame of mind to like play that game.
It is.
It really brings me down, and I want that out of a game. I want a game to affect me in a way where like it takes me on an emotional journey. But like I'm just.
You have to be in the mood.
I don't have a lot of room for that right now. So
dude, I totally get it. I totally get it. Yeah. Jeff, what about BioShock? You playing that one at all this week?
All right. Good.
Fair enough.
You know what, Jeff? I'm on your side. Good.
Your update sounds the same as mine.
Tim, not good. You need to play more.
The game after work on like weekdays and Saturdays sometimes during the day. So if we were to record it tomorrow, I maybe would have put like a couple more hours in. Maybe. Probably, honestly. Yeah, my week this week after work was like I had something going on after every single night. So like I just had no energy to do like gaming stuff. That's not relaxing to me, at least some of the games that I'm playing. That's not my version of relaxing. My version of relaxing is sitting on the couch not doing anything and watching something.
You like your hands just to sit empty on your lap like this. Just I want my hands to be empty. I just want to sit
on a couch like
let them rest.
I was telling Dan off air that I was like, I just wish I was playing more games right now, but I'm just not. So, that's just because, like Jeff was saying, just a little busy after work and stuff like that, and like it is not my version of relaxing right now. It can be sometimes, but right now,
depends on the game, I guess.
Yeah.
It is 100% my version of relaxing, but I do empathize with what you're saying.
It usually is for me too. Just right now, it's not. You know.
Sure. No, I get it. I get it. Yeah. Especially if it's a game that really requires a lot of focus and attention.
I think a lot of the games I'm playing right now are very focus-oriented games. Even Zelda's like, here, solve this puzzle. I'm like, I'm dumb. I don't know how to.
Well, with their control scheme on Skyward Sword, yeah, you got to focus at least a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
There you go. We'll keep touching base on these to see if any of us have given up completely or end up finishing our games that we are trying our best to commit to play through, but also we make the rules. Who cares? We don't have to follow through.
I mean, I'm a pro gamer. I finish all my games, so yeah, just saying.
You've never left a game unfinished?
I'm a pro quitter. I'll quit instantly on something I don't want to do.
I've quit a lot of games.
Yeah, what are you, Amber Heard? Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not shitting on bed.
How was GTA 4? How was the ending to that?
Oh,
you like that?
To what?
You like the ending to GTA 4?
No, because it's like I was driving on friggin' sticks of butter.
So you don't finish your games.
Sticks of butter.
So you're not a pro gamer. You can control cars in the game. Not a very pro gamer.
Listen, if I got like 20 hours into it and then I was like, oh, the driving, and then I quit, like that's one thing. But it was like an hour in, so go to hell. All right. Go to hell.
So pro.
Download it on PC and get some kind of non-slick mod. I don't know.
Also, GTA 5 is way better, so who cares?
I never finished 4
It
either,
is.
but I also have plenty of games that I never finished. So
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
that's what it is.
You guys are just upset I'm a pro gamer. That's all.
Well, I am. I'm very.
I just don't have the proof yet. I don't know if I have any quantifiable.
Yep.
So
I don't have a proof. No.
I
I have to object on the grounds.
I beat Sekiro. That automatically makes me pro gamer.
I mean, if I hear someone say objection, hearsay one more time, I think
I know.
it's just
It's been
so much
week.
hearsay.
It's been the last 2 weeks.
Like
It's
anyone
just
who had a
like
drinking
say.
game with that is plastered.
they're dead.
Yeah,
They're dead.
They're dead.
After,
There's no way they're
even before like Amber and her team psychologist, even before they took the stand, that person's already dead.
Yeah.
Because her attorney said it so much.
I don't want to dwell on it, but are you guys keeping up with this? Like, is this like a
I've
daily
watched-
thing for
I've
you
watched
guys?
a little
Best
bit.
TV show of the year.
Jeff and I are like we're like two girls gabbing about it every day.
Yeah.
Did you hear what he said? Like, and I
Yeah.
guess we haven't really been talking about it in the chat, but like, I don't want to dwell on it. Are you guys at least getting highlights every day?
I'm seeing like the little like snippets on like Facebook
Okay,
and like
yeah.
Johnny Depp kind of
Oh, no,
giggling.
I've
We're
actually
all
watched.
in it.
I've watched chunks of the live stream from time to time,
Yeah.
and like when I wanted to see when she got on the stand. I only saw highlights of him on the stand, several different. Some of them were just for funny, and some of them were like, "Here's actually seriously some of the like important things he said." And then I have watched some of her kind of weird stream of consciousness. Like she's a bad
That's a great
actress.
term for that.
She's a bad actress, and so like when she's doing her cry face, there's no tears. It's not real. Like it's just kind of like, what is this? Like that.
What is?
It is a circus for real.
It's really
Depp
funny
Depp came out
yeah.
so strong, right? So she has to like combat that. So
Depp came
Well,
out so
watching
like
him, he's trying to keep his head down, but every once in a while with his smirk, and he looks at his lawyer, and his lawyer kind of looks at him like, "I know, right?" Like,
I really like all the subtext that's going on.
Dude,
like,
yeah,
in,
there's
in the courtroom.
there are
you
moments.
know.
she
There are
said it's
moments
weird
that.
to see a man cry, and I was like, "Uh-oh, shouldn't have said
Oh,
that."
well,
Shouldn't
you're
have
a
said
problem. You are.
Yeah.
the
No,
problem.
my favorite bit was like go ahead, tell the world, Johnny. What are you gonna say, that a girl domestic violence you or whatever? And I'm like, ugh, yeah, well, ugh.
Yikes.
That didn't age well.
Yeah, that was like from the reporting. There was a bit. My God, my favorite bit. First off, TikTok is a great resource for following this trial.
okay.
Because there are people that I think they dedicated like their whole life to following this trial. It seems like, and
Yeah,
they've
which I don't have time for that,
micro like they've used
taken
a
the clips.
microscope on the body language of certain people whenever
Oh.
somebody will say something.
Okay.
So like Amber will say something about Kate Moss, who Depp used to date, and there was like a story out there that Depp did something similar to Kate Moss, and then Kate Moss later came out and said that's not true. But Amber is presenting it like it's still true. And when she said that, you see Johnny Depp's lawyer turn around and go, "She said it." He's like excited. He's like, she brought it up. We were wanting her to bring it up. And so like somebody from
baited you.
TikTok like caught that and like clipped it. And it was like a moment that you would have totally missed because he's in the corner of the screen.
There's
or
too
whatever.
much going on the screen, and
Oh,
like,
there is.
people are
Yeah.
like dissecting it in ways that like I just don't have time to
Yeah.
do. Like, Jeff
Well,
was not
I gotta
really
say,
saying,
I wasn't really 100% sure what hearsay was, but now I have a much better idea of it. After I'm like, and
Right.
there's times that I'm like, "That's hearsay," and then they'll be like, "Objection, hearsay." I'm like, "I knew it. I knew that."
I
Was
called it. Yeah. It's fun.
Well,
I know,
my
that's hearsay.
my favorite part I wanted to mention was the lawyer. I think it's Amber's lawyers up there trying to. I think they're trying to dismiss the case.
Yeah.
I think, and they're
Yeah.
trying to do it. God dang it! No, now I can't remember. Oh no, they're interviewing the psychologist. So it's like earlier on this week. They're interviewing their own like choice of psychologist, and they're trying to get her to say something that's not in the terms of the disclosure. I don't know what that legalese means, but according to Depp's team, it's not in the disclosure. And so they objected. They said, objection, it's not in the disclosure. And the lawyer, Amber's lawyer goes, show me where it doesn't say that. and everybody went, what?
Here's a blank space on the page. Here's
show
a
me
blank.
where it doesn't say that. Like, it made no sense. And like, Depp's lawyer couldn't even wear a professional face in that. He was just like, what?
I mean, where did she find this guy? He seems like a clown, right?
I don't know. I think it was the woman, because she has like 2 attorneys.
So I do know that people made a big deal out of her lawyer objecting to their own question, but I do understand. Like, I saw someone break down why, like a lawyer broke down why they did that, and he said, "I understand this makes them look really bad, but it made sense. Like, the answer was actually going to harm more than help, and so they had to get them to stop and get it stricken." They should have said strike that from the record. They shouldn't have objected.
I get that. But I don't know. I feel like you have to use the objections just strategically. And if you use it against your own, I guess it wasn't their own witness.
It was a cross-examination.
So I get it. Yeah, it was a
cross-examination, but like also you screwed up the question. So like,
well, it's still funny, but yeah, now that you mention it,
it looked hilarious. But I saw a lawyer.
Optically, it
was a lawyer on.
Yeah, the jury's not going to like that. Yeah, they're going to.
Exactly. And that's what it's about. Is like the plebes that are on the jury, like trying to appease to them. So like to them, it probably looked bad, like it did to us. So
it was a lawyer on TikTok who was explaining how like, no, that actually made sense because they went down a road they didn't mean to, and the answer started to come back in a way they didn't want, so they had to like cut it off at the pass. So like they said, it's not that uncommon, but this is a TV show, and that looked like someone who messed up their lines and looked like
even the guy who was being questioned was like totally thrown off by it. He's like, I'm just answering the question you asked me.
It's a mess. And I know that this isn't video game related, but who cares? Best case scenario for Johnny Depp.
I didn't mean to bring this up.
I think best case scenario for Johnny Depp is he gets a crap ton of money and at least gets some reputation restored. But I still think worse case scenario, he doesn't win and get any money. I still think his reputation has been bolstered by this.
No matter what, his reputation is fixed, but I think he's going to lose, to be honest, because the definition too, he does do drugs, he does drink, and he probably did hit her. So, and that's what she's saying that he did. So I
don't think there's a way for them to prove that she cost him. Like the core of it is that she cost him money and that she owes him this money. And I think that's going to be tough for them to really prove and win.
Yeah. So that's true. I forget about that part. Yeah. But you're right. I think that he fixes reputation.
I think everyone's seeing this whole crap show on display. It was a messy relationship. Everyone knows that he's got problems, and now everyone is seeing, she's just as messy, in different ways, just in a lot of.
Boy, like every psychologist that came up was just like, she's bipolar and she's got like split personality disorder. And I'm just like, what? I mean, and not to make fun of people who have those disorders or anything like that, but like that is a instrument or an ingredient in this like this shit pie that's going on here with this relationship.
But I mean, even stuff like him getting kicked off of the Grindelwald role, stuff like that, it's like he wouldn't have if it weren't for her.
It's true, but also the movie would have not been good, in my opinion.
It's possible. The second one was.
Nicholson is just like.
Well, and it's the Pirates of the Caribbean thing too. Like he was for sure going to be in 6 or 5 or whatever one we're on now, and now that's out the window.
There was like a verbal handshake agreement about Pirates. They couldn't find anything in writing, but there was like a verbal. Disney said this much and this money, and we were gonna do it, and then it fell through because of this article.
I think.
Don't forget that Tupac movie never came out either. It's still.
Wow, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, like that movie was completely removed. He plays a reporter who like finds out about like who shot Tupac and Biggie or something like that. Yeah. I think it is. It might just be Biggie. I don't know. Whatever. It never came out, so I don't know. But yeah, I mean, his career was impacted by this. So
I think we'll see him as the main and the main, whatever you call it, the main line of actors listed in movies again. I just think it'll be a minute, but I think he'll get back up there.
Yeah, probably eventually.
If Brian Callen can get his podcast back, then I'm sure Johnny Depp will be just fine.
Oh, for real, dude.
Whenever I think of one of those guys, I think of the other. That's a good call. Johnny Depp or Brian Callen.
So was this our Depp versus Amber spoiler cast, or?
This was, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's cut this.
Oh, we should have
slice out and put this on
current impressions.
Yeah.
I forgot. We forgot to give people a spoiler warning for this. Sorry, everybody. If you're behind on the
if you're behind on the Johnny Depp Amber TV show, I know it's
got a week off now, and we're supposed to just act like normal people. Apparently, I don't.
That's gonna be miserable.
I don't know what I'm going to talk about with my employees at work.
I know, me neither.
And this is why I don't watch things episode by episode. I wait for the whole thing to finish.
He's gonna binge it.
Dan, very illuminating. It's
watch
very
the
illuminating
trial.
right now.
That's amazing.
Your take has never made more sense.
Oh my word. All right. Well, there's a few games that came out this week that I want to highlight. The main one being Trek to Yomi, which is something that since it was first revealed, I know that we on our podcast have been saying, whoa, this one caught our eye and we've been keeping an eye on it. And then now it's on Game Pass. Also, according to Kyle, it's on PS5 too. That's weird. I'm just kidding. But it's I think it's coming to Switch too. I think
so. At some point, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Let me. I will fact check that.
It seems like a Switch.
It could run on it fine if it was just.
I think so.
Downscaled. Yeah.
Good.
I think so. But anyway, I've played through the first 2 chapters. I am a decent way into chapter 3. I didn't play it all today. I was wrapping up Horizon, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I did play a good chunk of it yesterday, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's on my background. Like, I think visually, it's just, I mean, it's going to be up there when we talk at the end of the year about games with best visuals. And I don't know how we'll split it up this year. In the past, we've done it a couple different ways. I don't know if we'll go realistic versus animated, or maybe we'll do like a technical visuals versus visual design. I don't know what we're gonna do, but this one is up there in any category. This has style. Technically, it's really pretty. Like I think it looks really, really good. What do you guys think about how the game looks and how it's presented as this kind of old school?
Just real quick, it hasn't been announced for the Switch, but they're not ruling it out. So
okay,
but no official announcement.
Okay. What do you guys think about this game so far? Whether it's the visual, let's start with the visual and the way it looks, the style, the design, all that stuff.
It looks like a Kurosawa film, so it's a ripoff. So I hate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Get your own style.
Moving on.
Man,
Moving on.
Like, I think it looks great. You know, there's little bits like with just the wind picking up particles and stuff like that. Like, it's way more detailed than I thought it was gonna be. Even when you like get cutscenes with like faces talking, I'm like, this actually looks really good.
Yeah.
You know, the animation's a little stiff, you know, so when people start moving
yeah.
around and doing stuff, it's like, oh, okay. But like it's super easy to forget because there's so much stuff going on in the background. Even when you're fighting, there's like pieces of buildings falling over, maybe stuff's falling down in the background. Maybe you kill someone and they fall off a bridge and their body floats in the river towards the screen. You know, there's a lot of cool visual flourishes that like are really eye-grabbing and I'm really enjoying. So I agree with you, Tim. I think we're going to be talking about this at the end of the year in terms of like, especially if we have a best style category, you know.
Yeah, if we have anything that's like that. Yeah, because this was a hard one to put in. Is it realistic visuals? Kinda. Is it like stylized animated visuals? Kinda. Like it's
a little bit. Yeah.
It's to me it's a tough one to parse out that way. But anyway, and I know Jeff hates the way it looks, so we won't even ask him what he thinks.
No, I think the visuals are fantastic. This is pleasing so much of the film nerd side of me, because this is just straight up like you said, Kurosawa. I mean, obviously he's the one that kind of made the samurai movie famous, at least to us Americans. You know, in Japan they might have some different history. I don't know.
He might be the Michael Bay of their country.
He might be the guy that's like ripping off people.
He might be the Zack Snyder of
them. Exactly.
Oh God.
Kurosawa verse.
Restore the Kurosawa verse.
Get the Kurosawa cut.
There's going to be.
Seven Samurai was like 4 hours. What's a Kurosawa cut?
That's got like 2 extra minutes.
Don't give us another cut of that movie. Yeah, it's too long. Yeah.
17 hours long.
I love that movie so much. I've seen it twice because it's so long. Like
it's very long.
It's so brutally long.
I'm not as, and I wish I knew more about film and stuff like that. But did he do Ran? Was that him too?
Ran.
I'm not familiar. He did Yojimbo. Rashomon is probably the most famous.
Rashomon.
Aside from Seven Samurai, because Seven Samurai bled into like what Westerns became, like with Magnificent Seven and stuff like that.
Yep, Kurosawa did Ran. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Awesome, cool. Yeah. He's got to play style.
It's considered one of his best ones. It's best ones. It's a 96 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's considered.
I feel like they're all.
I've never seen that one. I haven't seen a lot.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's the first one that came to mind for me outside of the Seven Samurai. That's like, I guess, okay, that's the second one that comes to mind for me when I think about him.
So Rashomon is the one that kind of ended up, I don't know, transforming Tarantino's career in a way, even though that was many decades later. That's where the story is like well, let me give you my point of view, and then it's like somebody else, like it's the same events, but it's like a different person, like
well,
point of view.
we call it that. That's the term, right? It's Rashomon. It's
It's a
Rashomon
Rashomon style story, yeah,
yeah. So like that created a type of genre, or at least a type of storytelling.
Where you have a character going, "That's not what I saw," and then what they saw plays out the way they
the
saw.
Last Duel, most recently, is a Rashomon story.
Exactly
yeah.
So, Trek to Yomi, what do you think about the setup for this game? They set it up as a very clear, like, you're a kid at the beginning getting trained, and then, guys, I don't know if you knew this, but bad stuff's going to happen. When the game opens, I'm like, wow, a lot of bad stuff's going to happen to a lot of people in this game, and it's true. A lot of bad stuff happens.
I take that back. They were setting it up as a traditional revenge story, and then they totally surprised us in the first chapter. Yeah. And I love that about this game already. The story.
That's true. Yeah, it doesn't really.
I was like, oh, it's a revenge story. He's gonna grow up and you killed my father or whatever.
Like, yeah, because there's a very distinct look to the person.
Yeah.
But I mean, unless there's a twist later, like that's not the way exactly it's gonna be. But
I think we're gonna find out that whoever he's hunting is tied to the bandits that did this to his village or something. But I think that's where it's going. But I don't know either. But it does start off very Kurosawa, where it's like bandits attacked a village and killed a lot of people.
I was just gonna say that, bandits.
Yeah,
I think of bandits.
Yeah,
bandits are like the lowest level enemies you fight in most RPGs. As you just start out, like it's just bandits. They're easy, they're weak, and then you get to the real bad guys. Like the bandits are the real bad guys.
The ones with pads and stuff.
Yeah,
those guys are pains in the butt.
Oh yeah, with the ones,
But at least you can stun them and then give them the execution and at least have the health back.
Heavy attacks
the combat a bit. So the combat is, of course, a side-scrolling when you're in combat mode. I think the somewhat 3D exploration elements they give you, and it's not super open or anything, but they allow you to move into more of a 3D space when you're just exploring. You'll put your sword away and you can kind of explore, find items, maybe find a little side road that, like, sometimes there's a not very obvious like fence or door, and you can just walk into it or kick it open or whatever. You're like, oh, I didn't know.
Those exploration segments are like 2.5D, I guess you'd call it. Like it's just like it's not quite, like you can go anywhere, but yeah, it's
and then as soon as the combat starts, it shifts to like all you can do is left, right. Like it's just they don't try to mix you up with that.
And usually like they're really cinematic, like angles and stuff like that, which I just love. There's so many moments.
That's the stuff that the film nerd in me is like just loving, adoring. Is like each time you enter a new frame, it's from a different angle almost every time.
The framing is very purposeful. That's true.
Yeah, and it's definitely to sell it as more cinematic. It's not really because it looks it looks easier to navigate around or whatever. Like it's like this looks more like a film.
Yeah,
and I love that.
I do too. I think visually this game is crushing. I think story-wise, it's exactly what I expected from what the visuals are showing me. So it's like it's all like syncing up the way I would expect. Even the combat to me syncs up the way I would expect, where it's very much like I'm supposed to be able to mow my way through most of these low-level enemies, and then they're going to get a little bit tougher, and then bosses are significantly tougher. Like it's doing what I expect. I do think, at least at the beginning, there's some repetitiveness, but it's not bad. It's more just kind of like they give you a lot right out of the gate. They give you a bunch of different attack styles. You can hold up or hold down while you attack. There's a strong attack. There's something you can throw. But in the end, I've tried all those things, and some of them they have varying degrees of success. But the most successful thing that I have through 2.5 chapters of the game so far which is almost half the game, is just time the parry and then do attack, and then time the parry and then attack, and then like that's the most, to me, that's the way to stay alive, because you can die pretty quickly, and so that's the best way to stay alive and do the most damage. Now there are a few situations where they're teaching you how to do that stab move when they're stunned. I've only seen 2 enemies maybe that get stunned. Like it's not stunning them isn't necessarily easy or obvious on how to do that. So
I've seen it more, but I don't know how I'm doing it. So I don't mean to say that in a way where I'm like, I'm doing it, Tim, because I don't know how it's activated.
There's a combo. So if you hit like XXY on the Xbox controller, it's like light, heavy. Then that can stun most enemies. But I can't usually pull that off without getting hit. I can pull it off, but then
it's hard to get 3 consecutive hits.
That's why I do like attack, and then block or parry, and then attack, and so that's what worked in the boss fight. I died like 4 times in the boss fight trying to do all the different things they've taught me, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do the parry and attacks, and that's what worked.
Yeah.
So
I was finding that I was moving around too much. Like the game really wants you to plant and then like attack, or it feels like it to me. They want you to plant, let them come to you, or at least make some progress towards them, then plant, because like every time I'm pressing forward to attack and do something, they always do the thrust, or sometimes maybe I'm pressing a button while I'm moving and I'll just turn around completely. And these are all things, I'm not saying this is bad design. I'm just saying I'm doing too much while
I've turned around by accident so many times.
Oh yeah.
I feel like the more that you just plant and like you said, use the up and down and then attack button like combos or whatever. So it's like you're doing different I don't know, you're just attacking a little differently. I think I'm having more success with that than I am trying to like move towards people and like be really aggressive and stuff like that. So like you said, like really rely on that parry. That's pretty good. It's kind of tricky to pull off at first, but I feel like I've hit a groove with it. Again, like animations are stiff, like there's some stuff to the combat that like people were talking about. We're like, it's not bad, but it's not blowing my skirt up or anything like that. I kind of feel that way as well. But I feel like the more I'm with it, the more it kind of feels samurai, because you don't see a lot of Kurosawa films where the two guys are dancing around each other.
Right.
There's a lot of standing there and staring at each other, and one person attacks, the other person blocks, and then like maybe there's another volley, like, and the more I play like that, the more it's fitting to the aesthetic of the game, and the more I'm having success to it as well.
That's true.
But it doesn't mean it makes it like it's as fun as Batman Arkham, guys, or it doesn't mean that it's as flashy as that or anything like that. It just means that like I don't know, I'm getting more comfortable with it.
There's much worse combat systems out there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
there's so many worse ones.
Wait, did it have combat? I don't remember.
It had something
with costumes and spinning around. I don't know. But yeah, no, there's definitely much worse ones. I think for me, it's very, very satisfying when you do like the quick like slash and then they fall down like and the blood just kind of like shoots out in this straight arc. Like it's just very satisfying. It's like I am a samurai right now. Whoosh, whoosh. It feels great.
So is it blood red and everything else is still gray, or
it's all still black?
Everything's black and white. Yeah, I haven't seen anything.
Blood should be red.
Sure, yeah, it's a stylistic choice for sure, and one that I like. But
what game was that? Was that Mad World back on the Wii or something that did black and white and then red blood?
Yeah, that was that. Yeah.
And anyway,
the other?
I've noticed that during combat there's a weird stutter when the enemies are attacking. And I don't know if it's just the first couple chapters it's doing this for me, and it's not like the game frame rates are slowing down. I was looking at it, I was like, is my computer having trouble running this game? And it's not actually showing down, but there's a weird like it's almost like they pause. They're giving you a big window to parry, and I'm only playing it on medium difficulty. So there's like really easy difficulty with a really big parry window, and they want to make sure that you don't die too much. There's the normal difficulty where everything's kind of balanced, and then of course they have the difficult, like the hard level, and then there's one that's grayed out, which I assume is like ridiculous, Kurosawa mode or whatever they're gonna call it. But I'm playing it on normal, and it's just a really brief. It's like maybe a half second, maybe not even that. That's way too long. Maybe like it's a tenth of a second, where it's almost like it's giving you that second, like I'm gonna attack. Oh, okay, and it's like they give me a second parry, and and that makes it very easy in some ways. Like once I picked up on that little animation, like stutter, and even the boss did it. There was like a little moment where they're giving me to parry. So I don't know. I thought that was like, to me, that takes the smoothness of it away a little bit. I don't really want that. Like I want the parrying to be challenging, but something I can pick up.
Like it should be a slower swing overall, but it's more of a stutter. You're saying like they're almost like they're stopping mid swing, and it's like,
I don't want to call it an iframe, but it's like it's a parry frame almost.
It's very much like just I mean, it's so brief. It's so like subtle. The game doesn't actually freeze. It's almost like they go to slow mo just for that split half second or less. Yeah. Just to get, and it's helping me. Like it's allowed me to parry a lot more than I probably would normally be able to, especially at the beginning. But I don't know. It's little things like that I'm like, it doesn't quite have that smoothness that I've seen in other games where I love the combat. But it's not. I don't dislike it at all. It's not like bad. It's more of, okay, the combat is, it's not groundbreaking, and it's not the reason I'm going to keep playing. Although it's not going to keep me away. The reason I'm going to keep playing is I'm very compelled by the visual style, and I'm curious where they go with the story, even though I kind of have an idea. I mean, these stories aren't usually super groundbreaking.
Yeah, right.
But I am very intrigued by the world and the visuals and all that stuff. So I'm very into that. Even though the combat is fine. I was telling Jeff this on our chat too. They do reward you for taking a side path first. So if there's an obvious path forward, I encourage you to check out the little side tunnel or path or branch before you do that. I've killed off groups of enemies at least 3 or 4 times in the first couple chapters that are standing around talking. And if you take the side path first, you might be able to, in one case, you can drop this big load of logs on them from above. It's on.
I did that. Yeah.
There's another one where they're in a tunnel and you can kill them with there's something you drop on them. I forget what it is that time. There's another one where you're back in the village and there's two guys on the bridge. One of them's got the padded armor, which is annoying. And I fought them first and then realized I should have gone under the bridge first because I can actually push the log out from underneath it and the bridge collapses and they would have died.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A couple things like that. I think throughout this game there's going to be moments like that where taking the side path rewards you. So I don't know. I like it a lot. I think it's a really solid game. 100% worth checking out on Game Pass for sure.
Oh yeah.
And even on, I think it's only $20, and right now it's on sale for like $17.
And the visuals are worth the price of admission alone, in my opinion. So give it a go.
Yeah, the combat's simple, but it's honestly it's not a AAA game, so the combat is about where I expect it to be.
I guess I didn't. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
I agree with that.
It's Devolver Digital published it. Somebody else, some no-name studio,
and it's competent. Like when I die, I haven't been getting it's not like Dark Souls hard or anything like that. When I die, I'm like, it was my fault, and I just get back in and start doing it again. Like there's not a cheapness to like the difficulty to like your abilities with the mechanics. So I don't know. I'm really enjoing it. I
find it's because I'm not playing defensive enough. I'm so offensive when it comes to melee games. No, I'm so offensive. I say slurs. I
like to say slurs.
I play on the offensive.
What kind specifically, Jeff?
Is this one?
List all of them.
Yeah, can I?
But kind of like with the Jedi Fallen Order. This one's like just pause and take a breath and wait. Yeah. Just like wait for the hit to come in, and that's when you can parry. And sometimes the parries, I don't know. There's a weird timing to it. It really depends on what the enemy's wearing, which I know there's not colors, but you can kind of tell from outfit length, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, is this a little bitch enemy that I can just parry once and then slash him and he's done, or is this one of the tougher guys that just like goes left, right, like he's like a pirate or whatever?
Yeah. Those lightning sword guys have been fun to fight. The really quick ones, I've been having fun with those fights. Because we're just dodging each other. Like I'm taking steps back. He said it's fun. I've done some pretty cool cinematic fights.
The movies that this is clearly based on do this too, but games like this make it so easy to not feel guilty about killing so many enemies because they're all cackling, evil, horrible people that are just like pillaging and destroying and just ruining lives and ending people with glee. And so it's like, all right, you're all the Joker, basically. So I'm just going to kill you all.
Right.
So they do a good job of just making it like, don't worry about this. There's no nuance to this. They don't like have a family at home and now you have to feel
There's
bad.
no gray area here.
No gray area.
It's not Last of Us. There's no dog that's
no.
Or anything like that.
Yeah, there won't be, I don't think, Revenge of Yomi where they come back and attack you for killing their village.
Yeah.
After you're done
Please make that
trucking.
the sequel, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Devolver, though, and Jeff mentioned that, I wanted to highlight this real quick. There is a sale going on. I believe it's through next week even, so you've got some time. Devolver, they even tweeted this out the night before. On Wednesday, they tweeted out, don't buy anything on Steam until tomorrow. Trust us. I just thought that was funny because they knew they were about to launch a massive sale. And so I clicked on it just to see what's on sale. I love a good Steam sale. Some stuff is up to 90% off depending on the game. The newer stuff, not as much. Like Trek to Yomi is just $2 off. It's instead of $19.99, it's $17.99. So not a big drop off. But even more recent stuff like Weird West, which I forgot that they published, instead of 40, it's only 30 on Steam. And I'm just going to list off real quick some of the games that they've published. Their catalog is insane. And this is all on sale. So Inscription, Death's Door, Loop Hero, Katana Zero. I almost said Serious Sam.
Inscription, yeah. I need to get back on them.
Yep, all the Serious Sam games if you like those. Enter the Gungeon, Ape Out, which is down to
Ape Out's fun.
Just under $4. That game, if you liked Hotline Miami, it's that style of gameplay, but it looks
like. But you're an ape, and the art style is just so unique.
Very unique and really challenging. But it's fast. Like when you die, you quickly reload and try again. And like Hotline Miami. Speaking of which, both of those games are incredible discounts, like 80% off.
Hotline Miami 2 has one of the greatest game soundtracks of all time. So
good. Yeah, you could get both those games for $5 on Steam.
Katana Zero.
Yeah, Katana
Zero is amazing. Yeah,
I mentioned that, but I think I'm going through them kind of fast.
I missed it.
The Messenger is another one. That's
good.
Messenger's good.
Crossing Souls is on Game Pass, but it's also down to $3 on Steam if you're interested in that. My Friend Pedro, Absolver.
Yeah.
Great game. So good.
Yeah.
Jeff, you like
My
Jeff, you
Friend
liked
Pedro.
Observation, right?
Observation.
Yeah, you
I
liked
played
that.
Observation. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Love that game.
it's a good game. Grease or Grease or Gree.
Oh man,
Good game.
I love that
it's like
game too.
That
Yeah.
visual French game.
Now that soundtrack. Oh my! I actually
Yeah.
That's a
downloaded the
great
full
soundtrack, yeah.
That game is really pretty.
That game
Yeah.
is
And
wonderful. Yeah. Very
Downwell is down to under $1.
Stop playing Greek, whatever. The Talus Principle is a good one. I don't know
Talus
if that
Principle. It is Bro
That's a
Force.
straight up puzzler. So I don't know.
Broforce is awesome, man.
If you like
Broforce
kind of
is
like
great.
a multiplayer, silly Contra-ish
Contra,
arcade,
yeah, that's good.
that game is hilarious, man. It's like
it's
ripping off all these like 70s, 80s, 90s action hero dudes, and
yeah.
it's called Broforce. I mean, it's exactly
like Commando, the satire of the video game.
It's so funny. They're very self-aware. I love it. Titan Souls, which I played and beat a long time ago, is down to $1.50. It's very challenging, but it's good. And then Jeff talked about this one last year. It's called Olija.
Aaliyah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they.
That one's on
Because
sale.
they say that it's mostly a game that has gibberish in it, but they say
Okay.
Aaliyah.
I mean,
but yeah,
so
it's like a Metroidvania type thing, and you get like a new weapon along the way and stuff like that, and you can teleport using a like a fishing rod thing or something. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Sort of
I mean,
ditto.
Devolver.
Carrion? Good grief.
Carrion, yeah. I mean, Devolver is
Carrion's good. Yeah.
they're a very unique studio. They
I
publish
love
some
them.
wacky stuff, and their presentations are always like, I don't know what we're about to see when we fire that up. Like, it's going to be wacky and weird.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if we have to trade E3 in so we can keep getting digital Devolver like press conferences, it's a good trade.
It's
we
a
made
good trade,
guys. We got
wacky.
E3 Keeley, every summer will be fun.
Now they have to.
I just
Keeley.
need to have
now
that
Keeley
like.
they're gonna parody.
Yeah, well, I really need that like Tim and Eric style zany, crazy, gory comedy they do every year. It's like a sketch. Like you're barely there for the games. I'm literally there for the laughs.
And it's a linear story. Every year they pick up right where they left off.
Yeah, it's like to be continued, right?
Yeah. Well, the last one was all about like the cinematic universe. We're doing the Devolver digital cinematic, and like it's just so self-aware and so great, So
I love it.
And I feel like that whole like
and no one phones it in. Like they all really perform.
They
man.
really
that main woman that has
she's an actor. Like she's a real actress. I think. I don't think she's
great.
Well, she's fantastic. So.
Yeah, she was great. But yeah, their catalog is incredible. So what a great sale there on Steam. I don't know if they have sales on other platforms or not, but I know on Steam that's the one that was highlighted. And go check it out if you've got a PC or if you think you might get a Steam Deck. It's worth grabbing a couple of games for the library before that arrives, hopefully later this year if you get one of those. Okay, I played a little bit of this game called Unsold, which came out on Game Pass last week. I think it's been on PC for a minute, but it's just now hitting consoles.
I had that downloaded. Yeah, how is that?
Yeah, Unsold is interesting. It's got like kind of a pixelated but very cool, smooth, like think Dead Cells pixelation, where it's like, okay, this is pixel art, and yet it looks very modern in its animation and its level of detail. It's got a bit of that overhead isometric feel, even though it is a 2D game. So you're kind of moving in like a what looks like a 3D space, even though everything's in 2D. It's very fast paced. They introduce a lot of combat mechanics to you at once. It's not like it's all difficult. It's just there's a lot. There's a dodge. There's a magic move. There's absorb moves. There's if you hold in the trigger and then hit these various buttons, you'll do a special move. There's a dash attack, and like there's a lot all at once. But it is very cool, and the style is very cool. So I think if you are kind of up for another action RPG adventure, this one's definitely worth checking out.
Cool.
But it is challenging, but it's not like I didn't find it to be punishing necessarily, but it is challenging. So, but I like it. I think it's pretty stylish, pretty cool. I like it. Almost every move is upgradable too, so that's cool too. And that's one of the things that it's a little overwhelming when you first go to upgrade something. There's a list of like 12 moves that you already have unlocked. So it's like, wow, I can already do all these. Which one should I do against this group of enemies? Like that can feel overwhelming as opposed to introducing you to one move at a time. But anyway, I like it. I think Unsold is pretty cool.
Cool.
But the game that I played finally circled back to and finished. This is what I've been playing most evenings this week, and then finished it up today, and that was Horizon Forbidden West. I mean, what a game. What a game this is.
Yeah.
It's such a good game. We could do like a more deep dive conversation on this if we decide to whether it's a spoiler cast or just decide to circle back
Let's do
later
it sooner
on.
rather than later before I forget everything.
Yeah, for
I said it last weekend, but I should be beating it this weekend. I
Okay.
had other games that I got to because I don't know. But yeah, I'm at the very end of this game, so I'm excited to talk about it.
I think I left. I put in our chat 10 to 12. It might be closer to 20 hours worth of exploration and side quests that I left on the table. Like there's a lot. I looked at my map. And there was only one tall neck that I didn't unlock. It's the very last one.
How dare you, sir?
Area. I'm so sorry. So
that one's the coolest one.
I'm sure it is. But I didn't. It was one of those things where I was like, I want to get to the end of the story. I'm very compelled by the main storyline. I want to get through it, and I also was like, this is a game I'm totally going to circle back to. If not for a new game plus at some point, then definitely when DLC comes out, I'm going to be revisiting this, just like I did with Frozen Wilds. I kind of treated that like a brand new game when I played it again. So it's a game I will be picking back up. But man, what a ride and what a great ending. And I got to tell you, every game, especially big open world games, should do the credits like they do. It's just basically like a really cool kind of tour of this whole land that you just spent dozens and dozens of hours in. It's just it doesn't feel like it's a story thing. It's just kind of a very visually pleasing way here's the credits, here's all the people involved in the game. For the next 10 minutes, you're just going to explore this land that you just...
It's a gorgeous game. The environment is gorgeous. So yeah, it makes sense to just be like,
I thought it was great. I thought it was great. I thought it was really cool. But what a cool game. Really, really happy that I think it took me 55 hours and I was level 43, I think, at the end. So plenty of...
Didn't max out. What a noob.
What is max on that game?
50.
50? Yeah.
50? Oh, okay.
Did you feel the emotional culmination, Tim, of the ending? Did you feel it? Did you feel that?
I did. I mean, I got very caught up in the story, and I was really invested.
Yeah, by the end, I was like, let's get to this final mission. I was like so excited to get through.
I gotta be honest, the main storyline sort of lost me a bit when there's a part in the game where you get to kind of like your center base, and then they send you go to one of these 3 places, and as you're going to each of those and the stuff in between, there were certainly some super highlight moments, and we talked about them already on past shows. We'll talk about them later. There are some great highlight moments, but overall, I was not that like, I can't wait to see what happens in the main storyline. It was more like these cool little capsulated stories here and there. And it wasn't until there's a build up to that big Gemini mission you guys have already There's a build up to that.
Or if you're Neil Armstrong in NASA Gemini for some reason.
Gemini, get out of here.
Gemini.
Yeah, go watch First Man. They say Gemini the entire movie. And I'm like, what is wrong with you guys?
Yeah, so once you get to that mission and on, like I was like, man, I shouldn't have started this if I had wanted to do any more open world random stuff, because now I don't care about the open world stuff. I just want to get to the next thing here because it's very compelling, very interesting, really good performances. I mean, so many optional dialogue and interaction moments. Like I kept talking to my friends until the exclamation points were all gone, just because I think their conversations are so interesting. And I do skip through some of them because I'm reading it faster than they're saying it. So I skip through, but it's more like a fast forward than a skip. Like I'm still catching on to what's being said. I just
who's your favorite buddy there at the base? Because
it's got to be Katalo.
Yeah, I was gonna say Katalo. Dude, that guy is so cool.
See the one arm guy?
I want to do the whole game with just Katalo.
I haven't gotten to the end, so I don't know if he gets better, but I don't need him to because he's my favorite character.
He's the best,
as of where I'm at in the game. So
there's a side mission where
did you do his side mission?
Yeah,
the reclaim what's missing or whatever that one's called. Find what's lost.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so mild spoilers. Skip ahead like a minute if you don't want to hear this in this game. It's a side mission spoiler. Okay, skip ahead. That's your warning. Okay, so he of course doesn't have an arm, and so the side mission is to help him test out this arm that Gaia helped him to develop. Yeah. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I would totally play a full DLC, set of missions where you play as him and you can put on different arms. And like have different abilities. I was just like, I could totally see this working because he is
like Devil May Cry 5. That's
when the mission ended and he took off his arm, that's when I was like, oh, this guy's my favorite character.
Yeah,
because his reasoning was, that's not who I am. I'm just using it in combat.
I'm used to it, but I'll put it back on when I need it. I'm like, you're the best, man.
I like this.
Yeah, and he still was just like destroying Erend and arm wrestling and stuff like that. And he's just the best.
So cool. Just his whole
and he
demeanor.
also has crazy respect and admiration for Aloy, but even for like when you make friends with Alva, the girl from that new Quen tribe, and Quen as in not the Witcher spell that you do with Geralt. It's not that Quen. It's a tribe called Quen. And
tribe called
Quen.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Version. But it's
explain it to me in explicit detail.
Catalo and Alva, I think, have really good interaction because he's very like one note, will only speak when he has something he really needs to say.
He's warrior tribe guy, you know?
Very warrior tribe, but very
she doesn't stop. Yeah,
and she's just like, I want to learn nonstop and I'm going to talk nonstop. And but she's likable. She didn't go to the realm of annoying for me. I know maybe some people feel like she's annoying.
Yeah, I liked her. Yeah, she was really charming. The voice actor they cast for it, I don't know who it was, but they did the good job with that aspect of it. And that tribe is just super interesting. I like the whole idea of treating, even though we know now, like, you know, some of that text might be a little outdated for them, them treating it like a whole religion and stuff.
Yeah,
and
they actually took that and enveloped it into their sort of civilization and embraced it.
They have elders or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
That like she has to consult before she can deviate from the scripture. Which is super interesting and very like Jehovah's and Witness or Scientology. Like it's super fascinating.
Her side mission is one that I kind of wish I'd gotten to, is something with Leviathan and water flowing. Like I was like, I should have done that, because I have liked, like, all the main characters have their own little series of side missions you can do. Yeah, and hers is the only one that I didn't do. And I was like, I should have, because I liked her character. So maybe I'll still go back.
Hers was I want to say hers was in the area where you have to. Did you do it, Dan? Did you do her side mission?
No,
She said something about the Golden Gate Bridge. I think it's over near there.
Yeah,
so I think you had to scale for her side mission. I remember, scaling a building, because
is that what Derek was talking about? Where it's like the worst climbing.
Yes, yeah, because there are some angles where you're trying to climb and you're like, okay, I see where I need to jump. It's over there. Like, you know, maneuver so you can do the arm thing, so I know you're good to jump over there.
Yeah, and she starts to go like,
so I just fall like 16 times. And then when I would spawn back up, I would spawn next to Alva, and she's like, I can't go that high. And I'm like, I know!
Neither can I!
But yeah, that part was like frustrating. But once you get to the top and see the view and everything, it's like, okay, well, this is kind of cool. And then you get to glide down or whatever.
Yeah.
So that stuff is cool, but like, and then like there were so many freaking like little secrets. I was one of those people where like anytime I entered a room, I was like, all right, what secrets are in here? Like what, you know, like what can I destroy?
I scanned so much in that game.
Oh yeah,
I'm just like scan.
So because this is the same engine as Death Stranding. Death Stranding really gets you in the mode of like scanning. You're like hitting that R3 button or whatever it is, and like it creates that thing. So like I was ready for this game. And the amount of scanning it wants you to do because of Death Stranding, because I was just replaying it earlier this year.
I forgot that was the same engine until the credits, and there's a whole section where they're thanking Kojima Productions, and I was like, why? Oh yeah.
The
Decima. It's their engine, but he kind of came in and did some tinkering because he's a genius.
He was shopping around. I remember when
he was
first, like, before he announced Death Stranding. He's like, I'm going to all these studios and be like, hey, what engine are you using? So he picked that one because it's gorgeous.
And classic him, he knows how to like tinker to like make the engine better, and even cooler if they gave him credit for it, because like I don't really think you need to give him credit because like they're the ones that created the engine. So
they had
it's a cool relationship that they have, you know? Yeah.
Yep.
I did not realize that. That's really cool.
I haven't gotten to the credits yet, so that's news to me. Spoilers, thanks, Tim. Yeah.
My bad.
Credits.
Appreciate it, Tim.
Hey, they also
the final mission is so rad too.
They also have like a whole section where they highlight gorilla babies that were born. Sorry, Kyle, but
the final mission is so rad. I can't wait for Kyle to get to it. Like it's like a 2-hour thing, or however long it takes.
Dude, you know what it gave me flashbacks to a little bit?
But it's like a raid mission kind of, and it's like a long mission.
It reminded me. It reminded me of kind of what turns out to be the fake ending mission of Final Fantasy VI, because there's actually more to that game after that. But there's a mission where you pick your teams and divide up and go do different things, and you don't. This game doesn't allow you to control different characters. Don't get me wrong. Final Fantasy VI, you control these different groups, and you're trying. But it had that vibe to it where there's a big plan, this big overwhelming force, but you've got this strategy that if you pull it off, it's going to be amazing. And so I just kind of had that same, like, I was getting amped for this final epic battle, and they just did a really good job with that, and I really enjoyed it.
And the landscapes look great. Like they really nailed the epicness whenever, like, it seemed, I don't know. There's like a really cool moment involving machines.
Machines.
There's a really, really cool moment, and
There
like the fact that all that stuff is happening like in the background as you're like running towards your destination. I'm like, they did such a good job.
Did you also notice? I won't say what character it is, but there's a certain character who throughout, really both games likes to say, "You'll know when you need to know," and he got that thrown back at him like 3 times in the final.
Oh yeah. It totally.
To know. I was
the
like,
roles reversed there, right? The roles totally reversed.
It was perfect.
Big time. So anyway, I love this game, man. What
you kidding me with this?
This is exactly what I want in an open world, action RPG game. Like it just hit all the right notes. And I know we've given it our fair share of criticisms. Like, well, the climbing's not perfect. No, it's not. And it still had its issues all the way to the end. Mm-hmm. Even on that final mission, I'm like, oh my gosh, could you just open a path for me? I don't want to climb up these 2 rocks. Like, there were still those little moments.
Can I get those Elden Ring
let me jump with my horse. Let me just jump with my horse.
Realistically, double jump with my horse. Such totally a real thing.
Yeah, it's actually more of a.
I would rather them create ludonarrative dissonance than me ever have to jump up with this.
I feel you.
My kids pointed out that it's more of a goat in Elden Ring than a horse. They're not totally wrong because the way that it jumps and the way that it looks with the horns. But anyway, all that to say, we've already pointed out some of the negatives. There's so much positive though, man. And I think any game that wants to use bow and arrow combat needs to. I'm okay with them copying what they did in this game because the bow and arrow combat is so good. All the different ammo types and bow types and there's still room to improve it. But man, is it so good. I really enjoyed it. So
there's a lot going on there. Yeah,
there is a ton going. Like once you get into a groove, and I think they do a good job of allowing you to pick how you want to approach. But I got into the groove with, okay, there's a certain elemental type of weapon that I want to use to start every fight. And once you build up that elemental thing and, it kind of like procs, right? And then you've got the countdown of how long that affects them. For me, it was acid. And so I would just bombard them with acid arrows. And then I would just start demolishing with my biggest explosives and most heavy hitting, just the piercing arrows and stuff like that. And that worked really well on those final few missions of the game. Like I found that all the machine battles were still challenging, but not to the point where I was putting my controller down and taking a deep breath. Like some of the mid game stuff was making me do that. So
the big boys are a bit of a struggle, especially the one that goes on. I forget was it Rockbreaker? That douche that just goes right under the sand.
Yeah. I fought one of those, and I was like, oh, I'm never doing that again. Cool.
Yeah.
I hated that one particularly.
Yeah. He's horrible, and I'm not a big fan of the Stormbirds. I love their design. But because of the way the lock-on system works, if you have any kind of rocks or outcropping or anything near you and you lose sight of them, they can just land on you at this huge boom, and it's like, all right, I can't. This is frustrating.
It's like undodgeable too. Like it's
right.
They find a way.
Get staggered really easily, right? Like she gets staggered really easily.
She does. The other thing that we haven't mentioned in terms of, maybe things I hope they improve in the next game. I really hope they improve the way that you manage your items and then use them along the bottom left. So when you hit left and right on the control pad to select and then down to use, that works. That works fine. It's weirdly overcrowded. And then even when you hold down and go into the change menu, it's not easy. You can't even go into your equipment menu and easily swap things out. There's a few like weird menus you have to dip through to get to it. I did eventually
be able to organize that, right? You should be able to organize it how you want.
You should be able to very easily organize it.
Like a Souls game, because you can put a lot of stuff in that equipable thing, you can organize it.
I think there's 14 or 16 slots or something like that. So just let me get to a drag and drop menu and put the items there. But instead, you have to kind of cycle through, and it'll say like slot 6, and you have to pick that and then go find the item, put it in there. And they don't really explain it to you. There's no explanation on how to use this. And then also they don't explain to you the potions thing where you can only carry a certain number of potions total, not like of each kind, but potions total. So if you've got 3 large health potions, then you probably can't carry one of the standard too. Yeah. So it's little things like that. I'm like, okay, this little area needs to be cleaned up a little bit because it's doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But man, those are just nitpicks because the game is so fun.
Yeah.
So good.
Rules.
So good. My adrenaline was just rolling, and by the end, I just kind of sat back and watched that credit sequence, because my heart was racing. It's really, really good. Highly recommend.
Great setup for a sequel. It sounds like.
Absolutely.
They're making assumptions that there's a sequel.
Gotta be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I still can't believe that's only their second game in that genre that they've made.
Yeah, I know.
And it's
all
just-
all they
I
made
know,
before that was
yeah.
first-person shooters. That's all they made before.
Like
this.
for being a company that chased the heels of Halo for so long, like for them to make such a move to be like, you know, we're just gonna make a dinosaur game with Vikings and spears and bow and arrows. I was like, okay, yeah, and for them to like kill it this much because they're using a lot of greatest hit mechanics like in this
Yeah.
game, but the execution, maybe again platforming aside, excellent. Like
Absolutely.
you can make fun of like climbing on towers and unlocking like points all day or whatever. Like, oh, I've done it so many times. Yeah, you have, but like I don't know, this game fits that mold of I like traversing through the game in that way. You know, I like seeing something off in the background and going to it and stuff like that. Like,
but again,
oh, did we lose
Oh,
Dan?
thank God he froze.
Yeah.
Thank God.
there. Sorry, say it again.
go to hell, Jeff. They improved just because one of the main problems as far as like was like the facial stuff and the voice acting, right, in the first game. So they vastly improved it in this one, which made you more interested in this is what I think of when I see your face, Jeff. When the characters are talking in this one, any even side characters, you're like, I'm super invested in whatever is going on, and this is not even important. But
they did a very good job of like making sure that wasn't a problem again. And Tim, you and I were talking like no open world fatigue on my end.
Nope.
As long as you're executing it just like this,
yep.
You make a 10 of these a year. I don't care. I'll play them. Like not Horizons, but like as long as any game is executed like this, I'm just give me all the open world games.
What was the one we talked about? Oh, I think we mentioned Rage too. Like games like that. That's an open world game. I don't need more games like that where it's very.
No, don't do that one.
Don't do that.
Don't do that one. Don't do that one.
Yeah, they fill this world with really interesting things to see.
I wanted to do
people
the
to talk to. Yeah,
I couldn't wait to get to the credits of Rage 2. I'm just like, I get it. Like, this game
you felt the rage.
And,
you wanted it to end.
My favorite thing about Rage 2 was that the shotgun felt really good, and everything else I don't remember at all about that game. It was such a forgettable game to me, but shotgun felt really good.
It's gotten way too much airtime. I'm sorry I brought it up again.
I'm angry just thinking.
Jeff, you watched Sonic 2. Any thoughts outside of what I shared about how it's fine? It's a fine.
I second your it's fine take. In fact, I ended up like dead in the middle basically on how I felt about it because like the first one I went into it going, this is going to be a heap of garbage and people only like it because kids like it basically. And it ended up like impressing me in a sense that it was not garbage. It was not.
It was a fun movie, right?
But it was like it was fun. It was fine fun. You know what I mean? It was like I'll forget this in an hour fun. And the second one just did more of the same, but with like a little more characters, obviously that we all know from the games. But it was just so much more of the same that I came down kind of liking it a little less than the first one.
Fair. Yeah. That's fair. If that had been
I didn't hate it though.
If that had been the first movie, you might have been like, yeah, this is decent. Like you might, but it was the second, and so yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I mean, you gotta
y'all two are the reason, except Tim, especially Tim and his 17 kids, that this movie is the greatest selling movie of all time in the video game genre. So good job, you two specifically.
Yeah. But it was my kids really liked it. Like they came out of there going,
cool.
I can't wait until we can buy it and watch it at home. I'm like, okay.
And I like kids. That's cool to me that kids like Sonic. You know what I mean? Because Sonic is such an our generation thing. It's like, Blue Hedgehog goes really fast. That's a video game, you know? So like the fact that like there's this sudden amount of care for it, I'm not gonna poo-poo that.
The first one opens almost like Ori in the Blind Forest with its setting and like the old wizened owl, and there's kind of the sad moment where it's like, oh, he's off on his own now. And then when you really get to know him, he's very much like a Home Alone style kid where he's goofy, he's having fun, he's like not really messing with the town, but he's like sneaking around town doing all kinds of stuff. And then he's also messing with the cop. Like that opening sequence was very charming in the first one, where he's like trying to see how fast he can go and then peeking behind the car to see what his speed was. Like that just had a huge charming element to it. I thought that I wasn't expecting. So I was right there with Jeff. I was expecting garbage, but it's kind of charming me into liking it more than I expected. And the second movie, because I was expecting to be kind of like pleasantly charmed and think it's okay. It kind of just hit all those same notes, and I was like, all right. I don't think I need to see a third one if they make it, unless my kids make me.
Oh, you need to see.
Oh, they're gonna do it. Because that studio sounds like they committed to this.
Well, there's a final scene where they're
Right.
definitely committing to
Oh, of
it.
course.
I saw a snippet of like kids just screaming like, "Oh my god!"
There was a full-grown man in our theater who yelled it out.
Oh my god!
When there's a character that they tease at the end for upcoming
I said
stories to
on
tell.
Twitter that this movie was fine. I was very whelmed by Sonic 2.
Yeah.
And somebody replied, somebody that it's a mutual follow. We follow each other. We know each other.
Yeah.
And he was like, but like, well, in like a good way. Like he was trying to keep it P. He was trying to keep it P and like make it sound like I loved it as much as he did. And I was like, I just said, ha 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 ha. It sounds like you really liked it. And he goes. And he goes, Sonic's one of my favorite things on the planet I grew up with, or whatever. And I'm how?
I mean, hey,
how is Sonic your favorite?
Because he's never played Mario. That's what it is.
I was gonna say, when the Mario movie comes out, like everybody that loved Mario growing up is gonna be like, all right, here it comes. Here's some Mario.
Yeah.
We better not just like Mario because we grew up with Mario, guys.
I know, for real.
We need to take a stand, all right?
Andy's Chris Pratt going doink to doink, just like Mario.
I was maybe less whelmed with the first movie than you two, but like I love Sonic, and I'm cheering for it to be good.
What if it's Burt Macklin with an Italian accent, and that's what Mario is?
All right, I'm on board with this.
Who's the karate character that he does? Can I get that character instead?
Johnny Karate.
Johnny Karate.
Can I get that character instead?
Yeah.
Johnny
Karate.
When he talks about waking up with sex hair the next morning.
You got sex hair, baby. Got from me.
All right. Much more importantly than Sonic, of course, this weekend is the next major Marvel movie release. That's Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Have a couple Marvel things to talk about.
Yeah. We do have a couple Marvel things. But let's get some. I mean, Doctor Strange it's a huge moment. It's one of the first times, other than Spider-Man, that we're finally getting a continuation of one of the characters from Endgame, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see what's going on with. I mean, outside of the TV shows, of course, this is one of the biggest theater experiences for this, and so I'm excited to watch it whenever I get a chance to go see it. I know that Kyle and Jeff have both seen it. Dan, are you planning on seeing it too?
Yeah, I'll see it. I'll see it soon. I just wanted to give it a little bit of breathing room. So
that's fair. What do you guys think of it? Of course, if you're listening or watching this, we'll keep it spoiler free. Although we might try to do a spoiler chat at some point. But what do you guys? What do you guys think?
Have to.
There's so much.
Yeah.
It's just like, without spoiling, it's just like Spider-Man: No Way Home, where it's like talking about this movie in any kind of capacity would be problematic to people's experiences. It's definitely a Doctor Strange movie. So if you like the first movie, and you like the visual concepts of some of the headier, crazier, trippier moments, you're gonna get a lot of that. You're gonna get some of that. There's plenty of moments where that is happening.
Buildings are doing things.
Can we just watch the trailer and then that'll be your impressions? Should we just watch the trailer?
Yeah, exactly. Have you seen the trailer? That's kind of how I feel about the movie.
Do you guys remember the first trailer after No Way Home? Because that trailer was a load of shit. I'll just say that. That was like the biggest misdirect I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, that's a spoiler, Jeff.
The big thing with this though is we have a different director with this one. It's Raimi.
Yeah.
Which I mean, he directed the original 3 Spider-Man movie.
Sure.
So I mean, that's a big deal, right?
That's a big deal.
Yeah. So it's definitely pretty good.
And he reunited with Danny Elfman, who did all the Spider-Man movies with Raimi.
So there you go.
And his score was like, whatever.
I didn't know it was.
There are moments that were like distracting for me, like at the end, where like he started doing like some weird '80s things with electric guitars, and I was like,
in this
where
movie?
is this coming from? Yeah.
Well, it's like I don't know. I can't go into that. But, I can't go into that.
When you just now described that, it almost now
that you mentioned that, I was like, oh, I remember the guitar part, and I do have.
The guitar kind of came out of nowhere.
It almost made me think. What was that game we played last year with the cool guitar, music, visual stuff?
Jason Schwartzman gets a
Artful Escape.
Artful Escape.
Artful Escape. There you go.
Like, I just thought of that when you said that. Like, kind of like all of a sudden out of nowhere, these electric guitars coming in, like crazy
space
stuff.
whales.
I just pictured.
It's the same. Without spoiling, same vibes.
In.
Trippy stuff is going on, so trippy guitar music is playing.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of
it's Multiverse of Madness. So crazy things are happening.
Yeah, Kyle, talk about your. You had a whole 24 hours. I had like an hour to think about it. So
I've slept on it. I've kind of I really like this movie, but when I think people's mileage are going to vary with this movie.
Okay.
I think this is probably going to be one of the more divisive Doctor Strange movie, MCU movies, that are out there. I think that just how much you're invested in certain characters are going to matter. Just how much you're invested in like some fan service is going to matter. If a lot of these things don't matter to you, this movie's probably not going to be great, you know. So it's
okay.
It's one of those things where, and yeah, I guess that there's certain expectations for how much further you want the story of the whole universe be progressed. You know, some people want isolated stories, kind of how we were talking with Moon Knight. Other people want the whole universe to jump forward 10 or 15 steps, you know. That's going to make, you know, your acceptance of this movie vary. I'm very prepared for this movie to be super divisive, to be honest.
Sure.
For me, I really liked it a lot, especially after, like, I walked out of the theater with 2 other people who they were immediately like, "That's my favorite Marvel movie ever," and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sleep on it. But like,
oh my god,
you know, and
my god, bro.
I do, and Jeff, you're gonna hate this. I woke up this morning. I agree with them. It's one of my favorite movies of them.
One of is that's fine. One of is fine.
That's fine.
No,
about,
but the best.
We're in Phase 4, right, for Marvel?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So thinking about the Phase 4 films, which I know is tough because now the series that are coming out feel like, you know, longer movies. But anyway, thinking about just the films, right? So we've had Black Widow technically is part of Phase 4, even though whatever.
Whatever is exactly right.
Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Spider-Man No Way Home, right? Those are our Phase 4 films so far. Am I missing any?
Yeah. No, you're not. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
So if you're thinking about those movies, is this one like? I would say it's fair to say a lot of folks have thought of so far in Phase 4, the movies wise, a little inconsistent. Not bad, but inconsistent. Not really sure what Marvel.
Oh, Eternals, I guess would be the only one you forgot. Eternals.
I thought I said Eternals.
Maybe you did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You did say, yeah.
So it's a little bit inconsistent, a little bit uneven. They're telling separate stories, which makes sense, but it's also kind of like, where are we going with this? It doesn't have. So anyway, all that to say, do you feel like this either helps with Marvel Phase 4, or do you feel like, hey, on its own, this is just far and away the best Phase 4 movie so far? Like, thinking of just the Phase 4 movies.
I feel like Phase 4 has a lot of spinning plates right now. Maybe too many.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, multiverse,
like,
right?
can I just say, Phase 1, 2, and 3 was about the Infinity Stones and Thanos, and that's literally it. Like,
you're right.
Other things were happening, but this is about like the multiverse. It's about. Soon it's going to be about Skrulls, you know, like, you know, with Secret Invasion that's coming out. Like,
there's a main villain, right, that they're focusing on, which is what was at the end of WandaVision.
I guess.
Right? Maybe.
I mean, there's the main villain that we're I think.
Well, I'm not saying who it is, but
the main villain that we're building towards is the one at the end of Loki, I think. Not. I don't remember.
Oh, sorry, not WandaVision.
I was gonna say I don't remember there being a major villain.
He's an Ant-Man, the villain.
So yeah, we'll get the next chapter of him and Ant-Man, but like every time I think he's gonna show up, like even in like Moon Knight, you know, and stuff like that, it's like he has comic implications.
And I know who you're talking about. It's like the running joke now on certain YouTube videos where it's like it could be this guy, and you're like,
oh yeah, is it Mephisto? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Mephisto.
Dude, I really hope he shows up in his cowboy outfit from Heart of They Fall. That's what I want to see.
I'm here for it. I hope Mephisto never shows up and we all just keep chasing this dream that he's going to show up one day.
Sorry, but I meant Loki. Yeah.
I get what you meant. Yeah. But I don't know. Shang-Chi was really confident for a new movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally.
I felt really confident.
I've heard the opposite about Eternals, which I still haven't watched yet.
It was fine.
No. Like
I've heard that it's not,
man.
But I've heard it's not confident. Like it doesn't really.
Yeah,
it feels like
I would not describe Eternals as confident.
That's what I'm saying. I've heard that they're almost like holding back. Like we're not sure this is gonna land, so we're not gonna really commit super. I don't know. Maybe that's an over.
There are things that happen in it that are important. I mean,
well, and you have to, and like just to kind of because you're saying to kind of compare these movies or whatever. Like Spider-Man, I was not surprised by the things that we saw in that movie because everything was leaked and everybody had fan theories and like it all just kind of came through and we all just kind of like that happened. Doesn't remove the excitement of that movie at all. Just because you kind of knew what was going to happen, you still really didn't fully know. So when it happened, you were like, this movie, like things happened in this movie that I just didn't think were gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like
that's
stuff
exciting
that is going on, and so I feel like I was a little more surprised with stuff in this movie, especially with like things that show because we're talking about the multiverse. So like just think, the possibilities are endless. So it's it was hard to nail in on like who was gonna show up, what was gonna happen, stuff like that. And I think that my breath was a little more taken away on that front with this movie. But I don't know if I'm ready to say this movie is better than No Way Home. You know what I mean? Like,
Fair
I
enough,
sure.
it's like, you know, I
The
feel
fact
like
that you're
that
even
was-
comparing them says a lot, though. You know, because No Way Home is
for
amazing.
me, yeah. Again, I really think the mileage is going to vary on this movie for people. Because a lot of people didn't really like Doctor Strange. It's not everybody's like favorite, you know, movie. It was very origin-y.
I think he's
you know?
great, dude. I think he's fantastic.
I don't think there's
No,
anything
the
wrong
first
with
movie he's talking about.
Yeah, the first
No,
movie.
right. Well, sure,
Yeah.
but I mean, him as a character.
In general, I don't think Cumberbatch. Yeah, I don't think anybody denies that Cumberbatch is like bad for this role, and he's perfect. And I think that he gets a lot of like fandom in like Infinity War and kind of the sacrifice he makes in that movie and stuff like that. I think that he gets kind of a popularity boost because of that. But I don't know. I mean, I think that I'm interested for more people to watch this movie and more people to see it to kind of get like a more collective thought.
Yeah, for real, dude. I don't know where people are gonna. It's even
I really
now,
don't.
and I know quite a few people that have already seen it. Even now, the mileage is like you're saying. It's
All over the
totally
place.
varying. It's all over.
Yeah,
That's very
even
interesting.
for me and you. Like even for me.
Yeah. I
Like,
you know I've seen people on more polar opposite ends, and like you and I kind of fall on, but like I you know, like I've seen people on my Facebook who are just like, I hated that movie, and I'm like, all right, and I've seen other
I'm
people
so
like,
curious. What like is it like? It's like, is it the tone of the movie? Is it the performance? Like I'm
There's
wondering what.
not
Like,
the performance. I don't think anybody's complaining about performances. Yeah, I think not that,
because I felt this a little bit in the movie. I think there's some styles clash.
Okay.
Between what MCU normally does and Raimi, because Raimi injects a lot of what he does in like Drag Me to Hell type stuff and Evil Dead. He injects some of that in this movie.
Okay.
It might feel out of place entirely for some people. For me, it was like out of place in spots. So like I was like,
okay,
what is that doing in this movie? But for the most part, I enjoyed it. Like, I mean, I wasn't like, I still liked the movie, just not as much as Kyle did.
Well, again, and that stuff was never out of place for me, but I was every single time I go, that's a Raimi moment, you know? That is enough to rip people out of it. If I'm going, that's a Raimi moment, other people are going to go, what the hell was that, you know? Well, it's like I don't disagree with what Jeff is saying at all. And in fact, I'm trying to reinforce that because I feel like there are moments in there that I think people are going to be like, what was that about, you know? And if you've never seen a Sam Raimi movie, I had a dad explain to his son what Evil Dead was, like behind me. Like, well, son, when I was growing up, there was Evil Dead. This movie might just be I don't want to get into it. Yeah, Evil Dead is the major inspiration of this movie.
Again, he made those first 3 Spider-Man movies, and they have a distinct style to them. There's like a underlying goofiness to them that the other 2 Spider-Man, Andrew and Tom's Spider-Man movies don't have. They just don't have that really. So he has a distinct style for sure.
By styles clash, because the MCU or style clash is a wrestling move, whatever. Anyway, style clash. The MCU has a very distinct type of, when you think of an MCU movie, you think of like a distinct type of way of filmmaking, where they just kind of throw colors and noise at you, and it's entertaining and you love it, and there's some great emotional beats and stuff. But they just kind of throw things at you.
When I think of Multiverse of Madness, it makes sense that there's going to be goofiness, because I'm thinking of all these different universes.
I'm not talking about that,
but I'm saying like if you're thinking of multiverse, you're thinking all these different universes just all meshing together, intertwining. Like you're gonna, I don't know. In my head, I go to like things are gonna get wacky and weird, and
it gives you a little more leeway to do that stuff, right?
Yeah, so that makes sense.
Kind of, but there's still gonna be, even considering that and considering how Loki was kind of out there and how Moon Knight was kind of out there, even considering all that, this is still even further out there. Even so like if people didn't watch those shows, even WandaVision, if they didn't watch those shows,
if you didn't watch WandaVision, you're not going to know what's going on.
Not even for story reasons. If you didn't watch those on a style level, on a stylistic or visual level, you're going to be like, what the hell? You're going to be even caught more off guard by this movie.
This is the zaniest, there's people in the theater that are just like the MCU has ever gotten, for sure. And not in like, and again, like I'm with kind of what you're saying, Dan, where it's like, well, yeah, maybe the zaniness kind of like is complementary to the multiverse or whatever. Yeah. But I'm also saying what Jeff is saying too, where it's like it's a style clash for sure, but like. It's just gonna land different with different people, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, it exists.
And I think the more exposure you've had to the TV shows, the more of stepping stones that you've taken of tolerance to like accept it.
Yeah, if I skipped those shows, dude, I would have been like, this is not an MCU movie, I would have been like so mad or whatever.
Because
Like
Loki is like, think Loki when you kind of go into this, because Loki is very weird and zany,
yeah.
and like they're always trying to crack a joke at inappropriate moments.
Kind of,
and,
that show too. God, I love shows like that in Moon Knight, where like they have a clear color palette, and they're like that's in their cinematography throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, we'll talk about that with Moon Knight. Yeah.
Doctor Strange is just like from the beginning, it's like kind of noise, and that's some of it's really pretty noise. But there's a lot of like, there's like no thought in terms of like color, and the MCU movies kind of do this a lot, where there's no real thought in the color schemes up until there's a certain moment in the third act that happens that I already told Kyle is my favorite part of the movie, where like it's very clearly a thought out color scheme and like colors are clashing in certain ways, and I was like, dude, this is freaking awesome. Like,
yeah, that's cool.
It really like
there's some really inventive
really high,
moments,
like high highs in this movie.
That's great.
Sure. High concept ideas for sure, and it's a multiverse story.
It was interesting that this is a spoiler. It's Multiverse of Madness, but I didn't really see a lot of multiverses explored. Is that a spoiler or?
Well, they're not going to have time to.
I'm not telling you what they are.
Right? You know,
of course, they're not going to have time to go through like 80 of them or whatever. But when I think Everything Everywhere All at Once spoiled a lot of people, including me, because they explored.
And since I didn't see that movie, this movie felt like multiverse. I was like, boy, we're jumping around way more than I thought we were. I thought we would go to one alternate universe, maybe. Like they'll have a trip moment where you see in the trailer where they'll fall through 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
But then they'll land in one and just stay
part,
there.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. Yeah, that part's awesome. But because like whatever you see in the trailer, it's 20 times that length. You know, it's so long. I was actually checking my watch. I was like, they're still falling. Like this is crazy.
When we talk about multiverses,
people pausing the frames and
so
yeah. Can we start to include Ratchet and Clank in the multiverse conversation? You guys are killing me with this. Okay, Ratchet and Clank deserves a spot, and then I'm just
kidding. The way that Ratchet falls in that game is that happens in this movie. You know, but I haven't seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, so I don't have that comparison. So like again, maybe there's some like cinema baggage you're bringing in because of that movie did it really really well. You know,
and it's like the same concept kind of.
Again, like this felt like almost overwhelming to me, where I'm just like, okay, where are we at now? Like, you know,
Kyle felt like he was falling.
Yeah, I'm with them.
Jeff always has cinema baggage. Jeff has cinema baggage everywhere he goes. He's always got.
I mean, that's true. I do see way too much crap. Also, in multiverse, you kind of have to, similar to, there's another movie that does this, which is also a good movie that I'm thinking of, but I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, X-Men: Days of Future Past does this. I actually kind of enjoyed that movie, but
that's a good,
really dumb.
I like it.
But like, there are things that happen where like when you're in another multiverse and something else is happening, when you're in another universe, I guess I should say, and something else is happening in the universe away from you, and you're trying to stop that from happening, shouldn't time function differently? I don't know why you're in the same linear timeline. I don't know how that's happening. So it's kind of like Days of Future Past, where like Days of Future Past, they would kind of be like, we're trying to stop a threat in the past, but if you stopped it, as soon as you sent Wolverine back to the past, the movie should have ended. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it should have ended.
That's time travel, baby. The second you go, we want to tell a time travel story, things just get like.
I mean, the bottom line is there are no actual official rules.
So you have to be like, it's a movie.
There's no official rules because we don't know if time travel actually exists. We just all have different ideas.
It in the biggest movie of all time, Endgame, which I think the whole story of that movie is great. But like when you start trying to really think about like how the time travel works in that movie, you're like, wait, no, none of this makes sense. And even the director and the writers don't agree on what's going on. They're telling different stories in interviews because they don't agree. But again, so it's like
that's why I think that time travel people get so hung up on like the rules.
They do.
It's like the bottom line is we can all make up whatever rules we want because as far as we know, none of this exists.
It's more harder to swallow the pill when they establish rules that they break like a scene later.
Sure.
And I think where Doctor Strange ends up safe, and I'm gonna convince myself out of this criticism, I guess, is how Loki kind of cleaned up a lot of that timeline stuff by saying, oh, well, they exist in separate timelines, or / they exist in, like in this movie, they exist in different universes. So I mean, you can just kind of use that to clean up a lot of explaining. Just be like, don't worry about that.
It's a nice thing to lean on in terms of like simplifying all that.
Guys, my favorite time travel story is probably About Time with Domhnall Gleeson.
That's actually a good movie.
I haven't seen it.
It's a
I like
really
Domhnall
good
Gleeson.
movie.
Yeah,
It's a really good movie.
Rachel McAdams is that
Rachel
movie.
McAdams.
It's the Rachel
I mean,
McAdams
she's
podcast.
very cute. She's a
She
cute lady.
is.
Seriously,
She's great.
About Time
Beautiful,
is a
yeah.
good movie, and it's a good it's a good romantic comedy too to watch with the lady friend if you or alone. It works well as a
lady friend.
Yeah, I watched it alone. It was good. Damn it, there was something else I wanted to say. Damn it to hell, Tim. It's your fault.
It's all right.
Thinking about Rachel McAdams now.
And Moon
That
Knight.
butt.
No.
Well, I'm just, I guess just to wrap it up, I'm just really interested for more people to see it. You know,
Yeah.
I think that like it's going to be a movie that a lot of people talk about, and I think that a lot of people's opinions will like peak and valley as you talk about it with people. You're like, oh yeah, you're right about that. Well, well, you know, I don't know. I think again, I think it's going to be a journey, like talking about this movie.
Yeah.
Listen, it's
I
hard
love
to.
that my favorite part about Doctor Strange's entire existence is that I know when I go into a Doctor Strange movie, it's going to be a non-traditional comic book experience where the villain or whoever he's fighting is not going to be fought in a way that you normally would see in the MCU.
They're not going to be kicky punching their way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's just gonna keep coming back and what was it,
It's going to be
Dormammu or
magic,
whatever it was.
magic,
Super
creative
Dormammu.
magic stuff.
There's so much.
I
There's
love
so
that.
much magic, and oh my god, like,
Yeah.
and I know that's like silly to say about a Doctor Strange movie, but there's so many different types of magic going on. And,
Sure.
It's
And also
no one's gonna walk out of this movie going like, wow, visually that movie was boring. You know,
No,
even
there's
if
nothing
you
boring
hate
about it.
everything that's going on, you're gonna be like, boy, there were some real huge visual moments in that movie that I really enjoyed, but the story was garbage or whatever. You know, I think.
I also have to commend them for making the multiverse concept comic booky AF, because like Kyle kind of alluded to, there's like this whole question of like, who's going to show up? Because it's the multiverse, you can kind of just go whatever.
Do whatever the hell, do whatever the hell you want.
They took the most comic booky approach possible, where like comic books will have people just show up and then they never show up again in the comic book art, because like that's the multiverse, baby. You know, they just kind of come in and go out, and that's that's some good moments right there.
I'm telling you, there's going to be one moment particularly in the movie that everyone's going to be talking about forever.
Oh,
forever. Yeah, like just.
Ooh, that's a good teaser. I like that. I like that.
And Moon Knight.
Yeah,
you guys-
I think say no more. Yeah,
You guys did a good job of dancing around any specifics. I don't feel like you spoiled anything for me, but I do have a better sense of what to
and
expect.
they should have called it Doctor Strange Dreamwalker, but that's just my opinion. You'll see why.
Or Doctor Strange.
I still like mom. I still like mom. Yeah.
Doctor Strange and the Mom.
So if you do
Mom,
Multiverse of Madness and just shorten that to Mom, now it's Doctor Strange and the Mom. This is not gonna fly. I don't think.
In the Mom.
But
I wonder
weirdly
if
kind of fits the movie. So.
Weirdly, yeah. When you see it, you're like, actually, yeah.
Now I'm concerned. If there's any like old theaters that have like a limited space marquee, they might have had to do that. You know,
they're like Strange Mom or whatever.
They'll just say,
all right, well,
Strange.
I know what to do. I know what to do for a thumbnail now. So, you know.
Oh gosh, I'm nervous. All right, well, Disney also, Marvel and Disney just now wrapped up. In addition to launching Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness this weekend, they also wrapped up the finale of Moon Knight. I think it's safe to say we can expect more from Moon Knight, and I'm gonna guess series. I guess there could be a movie, but I would imagine another series, a season of the series. But yeah, so that's finished. We won't spoil this either for you guys. It's another one that could do well with a full-on spoiler cast where we just talk through the whole series and all the details. But keeping it really high level, I just wrapped it up, and I got to tell you, I thought it was really unique and really fun. To me, it's like I might need to rewatch it to really know if you have to rank things.
Dude, there's some things early on in the episodes too that are like
I might need to go
directly
back.
happens right in the finale or whatever, and you're like, whoa, they put that early in the show, they thought that out. That's so
exactly.
crazy.
There's so much symbolism in this show. Even the books like that in his apartment, everything that's everywhere in the show is a giant.
So it deserves another watch.
Yeah, I think I need to go back and watch it, because right now I'm feeling like it's WandaVision, Loki, Moon Knight jostling for those top spots. Like I really loved all three of those, and I really, really enjoyed both Hawkeye and Falcon Winter Soldier, but there's something about them feeling more like kind of by the numbers.
They're safe. They're
Marvel.
safe.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying about like a movie having like a cinematic, like deciding on a approach to how they're going to shoot it. You know what I mean? Like that really matters. That elevates the material in a way.
It does.
And that's what it feels like they did in all three of those shows.
I absolutely loved it. I thought Oscar Isaac just absolutely crushed it with his performance. And of course,
I always liked him, but I am the biggest fan of his now because of this show.
Yeah.
Like I think he's always been a good actor, but like this is his magnum opus almost, I think, like it's
he's
crazy
just kind of
how
been
good
like a fun. He's just been kind of like a fun guy in the Star Wars movies, or like in Ex Machina, he was just like a dickbag Elon Musk.
Eccentric,
Oh yeah,
like
he was in that, wasn't he?
Oh,
Dude, he was great.
That was
Yeah.
my favorite performance of all
And
this
he's
show. Yeah.
he's Atreides, leader of the House Atreides.
Atreides, yeah,
he's good in that. He's got a presence about him.
Stone-faced guy, yeah.
Even the Marriage Story, right, on HBO, like
the Scenes from a Marriage with
Scenes from a Marriage.
Chastain.
Thank you. Yeah. A very subdued, normal performance. Like this guy's got a lot of range, but this guy shows up and plays X amount of characters. I don't know if that's he plays some characters in the show, and
basic concept is the two, right? So I mean that's in
the he plays two characters in this show that are so polar opposites, and he effortlessly switches between them. Sometimes he's playing against himself, it's just. Oh, and there's emotional moments that he just like nails. Like I don't know, he's
with himself. With
the craziest part.
Yeah. He's acting against a green screen or a giant fictitious animal or something. It was tennis ball. Right. Yeah.
Well, it would be like a cutout picture of his face, right? So he's staring at his own face.
Just feel like
You still have that. Of course, you still have that. It's funny. I was thinking about that. Some of those scenes, of course, they're using some really good special effects, but some of the scenes just a matter of getting the right angle for the shot where you don't really see his face for both. And so part of me is like, I wonder if he's just looking at some guy who just vaguely looks like him from the back. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That must be kind of surreal, but yeah, I thought that show was really great. I thought he delivered. I thought Ethan Hawke, who famously didn't really want to get involved with these types of movies, and yet he also didn't phone it in. Like he was intense and like he was on it, man. And there's
late career Ethan Hawke has been intense in almost every single role I've seen him in.
Yeah, lately. I saw him in that the Kid one where he has to go against Billy the Kid. It's a Western.
I haven't seen that yet. But does he play the Kid or is he the enemy? Is he he's like the baddie in that, right?
He plays he's the sheriff trying to catch.
Oh, okay. So he played that it's a guy in history. Now I can't even remember the name of the show, but it was a Showtime show. He plays everybody kind of deemed him mad because he was using like faith and Christianity as a means to unite freed slaves and just go around like killing people and fighting and like, in the South. Like this is like a real person. I can't even remember the name of the freaking show, but he was like a madman in that. And he was so good. The Good Lord Bird. Yes, that's what it is.
Never heard of it.
He was so freaking good in that show.
That is what we should call Bill Burr. Is the Good Bill Burr.
The Good Lord Burr.
But yeah, I thought he was great. And then I know it was just a voiceover, but I thought F. Murray Abraham as Khonshu, he was great too, man.
He's amazing. Yeah.
And I like
Salieri kills Mozart
him
and then
I like him in Mythic Quest. He kind of plays a caricature of himself, kind of this serious, big voiced, booming voice kind of guy. And
he plays the George R. Martin.
What was
the lore guy?
LK or CK Longbottom. I forget what it is. I just finished that show like those seasons like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he's great in that too. But yeah, he's got such a good voice, and it was a great choice for that character too. And then of course the I think the show stealer. I mean, of all those performances were amazing.
Lay it on me, Tim. Say the right thing.
It has to be Layla, the actress who plays May Kalamwe. I don't know how to say her name.
How to say that.
She does look very familiar.
Kalamwe?
She is.
Well, the only thing I knew her from is from Rami, which is actually a really great show. I do recommend it. She plays the sister of the main character, so she's in the show a lot.
Yeah, she's had some other roles, but this is clearly
so great in this.
Like to me, this is one of those like star-making type roles where she could totally carry a scene. And again, not spoiling anything, but she just proves she could be a centerpiece of a Marvel story if they wanted to. Use her for that.
She is more than the side. Me and my boss were talking about this at work. It's like she's not just a sidekick. She's not just there to remind the main character, like Foggy from Daredevil. You shouldn't be doing this, Matt. Like
he is the biggest flip-flopper.
It's not like an annoying, or even like, and I actually wasn't offended by Awkwafina and Shang-Chi, but it's not a loudmouth, a sidekick either. She is there taking care of business. She is the Chloe in this Uncharted story.
Yeah.
And again, that's not
who
spoiling
has her
anything,
own motivations, her own very interesting character, and very
she is
like
not there for the guy, you know, not to be preachy or woke or anything like that. She's got her own thing going on, and there is nothing pandering about it. Like, she is a very strong character.
They give her a lot of moments where she needs to be strong. She's to overcome this feeling of loss, and she just delivers it really, really well. And
she wears it and performs it.
I just thought she crushed it, and that's in a sea of great performances.
And she's definitely very important to just like she's not just there as like what the definition of how she's connected to Mark, right? Like what her status is connected to Mark. Like there's a whole thing that you find out later on, like what the deeper connection is. So
yeah. I thought it was cool because at the beginning she does kind of seem like, oh, this is just his girl, and she's like, where you been? You know, there's a little bit of that, and then there's an element of like he's trying to protect her, and so at first I was like, all right, and she's good at this, whatever. But then no, her character
starts unwrapping,
really goes places.
Much more important. So I thought it was great. I just thought it was such a good show. It's totally worth a rewatch. 6 episodes only. It's just a perfect length too. Like if it overstates welcome.
The cinematography of that show is just like straight from the comics. Like how much purple and nighttime is in that show. Yeah. Just made me so happy.
With really nice touches of gold, like lots of. I was noticing a lot of gold on there too, like even in the god designs.
See, it's the fact that we can notice these colors in this show. Like I just love that aspect of this. I'm like, it's so refreshing for them.
Really cool gold moments, whether it's the little flying beetle or things on their outfits, and I won't say every outfit.
Well, he's got the things that he the weapons that he uses.
It's almost I'm sorry, it is, excuse me, because I was doing a little research and I was watching some videos from New Rockstar. It is the most comic book accurate story told so far. Like his origin story, the things that happen between him. I think Layla's character is like an amalgamation of a couple different characters, but like everything about it. Hero, I know they made some concessions on, but again, specifically his origin.
Yeah, Hero is like
he was a one-panel bad guy, like in the comic books. But
really?
But they expanded him in a big way, you know. But like everything else about the show, even like you know, the stuff, and we don't want to go into spoilers, but the stuff that kind of leads into like the insane asylum, the stuff that leads all of the Egyptian like lore and stuff like that. And specifically his origin story and how he gives himself up to Khonshu is all extremely comic book accurate. Like
I thought some of the mental illness stuff was unique to the show. No,
it is. Yeah. So so it's surface level in the comic. Like, oh, I have 3 personalities in my head, or I have 2, whatever. You know. And in the comic books, it's 3. In this, they made it a point to make sure it was based off of DID, a real affliction, and they did all their research to make sure it was as accurate as possible. So even the stuff where like people black out and like their eyes roll back, those are all things that happen to DID people when they're changing personas and stuff like that. So it's just an expansion on something that was already there, but it's handled with like the type of care that you would think our culture would expect out of media right now.
Now that we know what we know about it.
Not in a pandering way, like in a way that like I felt like I understood more about.
It's 2022. We have the resources. We know more about it, so therefore it should reflect the writing.
That's the other thing.
It does, you know.
I've been hearing a lot of people going like, I can see that like Phase 4 is all about like diversifying like their portfolio and stuff like that, you know, and like if you want to have that take, sure, whatever. When I'm watching this show, I'm never going like, boy, they really needed to knock off an Egyptian, you know, like check mark on that. It doesn't feel like that at all. There's no pandering or forcefulness to the show at all. It feels so unique and so genuine. I don't know. I really loved everything about it.
You feel the care in the script.
Yes.
And like
the fact
that how they're explaining all the Egyptian stuff. You're
the
like,
fact that they kept so many things intact from the comic books, like that care shines through with those choices as well. You know, they didn't take a lot of liberties here. Like even with Iron Man and Captain America, there's some liberty taken from those stories. You know.
Well, I want to hear Dan what you think too, but that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Like they managed to create some brand new types of representation where you don't really have a lot with certain cultures and that kind of it was great. And they managed to establish what I think is one of the better, really strong female characters in the MCU. I hope that she gets to continue. I hope she gets to expand beyond this show too, to be honest with you. But they didn't do it in a way that was like, don't forget girls. You know what I mean? Like it didn't.
I never felt girl power about Layla. I felt many times.
I didn't feel like.
There was a one super quick moment where that little girl asks her something, but it was like super quick.
But that part
and it was
played actually pretty well for me because
it was
like,
fine.
it's kind of like
she straight up asked her, like, "Are you this?" And she's like, "I am."
Yeah, I
am.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Is it like that moment from Zack Snyder's Justice League where Wonder Woman murders a bunch of people and she tells a little girl, "You can be anything you want."
You can be anything you want to be. Yeah, that is like these are two polar opposite examples of the same thing happening, and one doing it well and one doing it not well. You know,
Right.
I mean,
that Wonder Woman movie is a effing mess, dude.
Listen, I watched. I know we gushed about the Batman. I loved it, but even they had to include that line about like one of these privileged white males. Like they still had a line like that, and so. But I get it. I'm not saying they're wrong for doing it. I understand what they were doing. It's fine, but it took me out of that movie for a minute. Like, oh boy, here we go.
You could have just said privileged rich folk.
Right, but it hit me in the wrong way. But then I let it go because I loved the rest of the movie so much. This didn't do that, and they didn't need to.
It's fine. They were all white in that movie. So
they were all white and they were all rich and they were all
example,
spoiled, so she was great, but it was it was a pandering, you know, like it was.
Ethan Hawke plays the very obvious villain. He's a white dude, but they didn't at any point say like this white guy's trying to like they didn't make that.
He's trying to jack our culture.
He's trying to appropriate Egyptian culture.
Do you know they could have done? They easily could have done messages like that.
And you can see the metaphor for that in the show if you look for it. If you wanted to, if that was something that is in your POV already, you could be like, oh, it's just a white guy trying to culture jack something.
Yeah.
You could argue that, but the show doesn't explicitly go, "It's freaking whitey over here."
And it doesn't. And the thing is that it doesn't want you to. So if you arrive there, that was like
that's on your own.
That's
because sometimes they hold your hand to that, and this time they didn't. And I really liked it because I feel like.
And the thing is that there was a lot of different cultures going on here. So Jewish culture and Egyptian culture, obviously, there's an intrinsic connection there. And then Oscar Isaac's character is Jewish, but he's also Spanish from Spain, you know, so it's like there's a lot of different cultural things going on here, and it was a melting or mixing pot of kind of, hey, here's like how Jewish wakes happen. There's an episode kind of showing stuff like that, you know, and he's always wearing the Star of David, and you know, so it's like there were other. So there were other cultures represented here, but again, at no point was ever like, oh, here we go, the Jew story starting. You know, it was never like that because I think they handled everything with such care.
Cut that.
No. I don't mean that in a
nobody busted out a yarmulke and like dreidel, like
it's okay. Exactly. I called the yarmulke cap, so don't feel bad.
Yeah, right.
The thing is that like they handle all these things with such care and such authenticity, you know, that I think the authenticity.
Natural, right?
Natural is a great other word to add to this because it felt so natural and authentic that like at no point were you ever like, oh, this is like trying to pander to something like that. At least I didn't feel that way.
I didn't feel that either.
And it unravels.
You know, maybe that mileage varies for different people, but like to me, it just felt like authentic and natural to me.
And it just exactly. Well, it felt natural, and when you're finding out, when you're getting those revelations, those moments, and you're seeing those scenes, because obviously you're finding out more about you know, he's got the two different sides of him, and certain sides perhaps not knowing things and then knowing things, and you know, revelations happening, mysteries unfolding. Yes. Whoa.
But even like there's certain parts where they're doing like the shiver or something like that, and they cover all the mirrors and stuff like that. Like that's just traditional stuff. But no one ever goes, why are you doing that? And it's like, well, it's Jewish tradition to do this. It's like it's just things that are happening in the background that people do in real life, you know, and it's it just felt so natural to me. So
the mirror stuff, or like not even mirrors, sometimes it's just a shiny surface. Like they did that so well too, right? The reflection, like when one of them is present, then the other one's like it just, and sometimes it's super quick, and sometimes it's like a full blown conversation.
Almost always feels organic too, right?
Like, yeah.
Like it's not like when you find a mirror or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But you're
focused. Like when he rips it off, right? There's that one part where he actually rips it off the car, and then he's like, like it's just.
And the focus on mirrors being a motif in this series, like it has you kind of focusing on mirrors in the background. So you may be asking yourself, hey, why during this Jewish wake are the mirrors covered? And like, I don't know, maybe that leads you to go look up at why that is, because the show's not going to tell you. You just kind of have to know that that's a tradition or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just felt like it was a show that really wanted to showcase a lot of different cultures in in the most palatable way Disney has ever done, to me.
Yeah, you spend a lot of time in Egypt, right? I mean, most of the episodes are in Egypt, which is super cool. It's a different place to be, and that you haven't really spent a lot of time in the movies or in any of the shows. Or
I do hope that.
That was my Joker saying half, but half the episodes were in Egypt. Yeah,
I do hope that Disney keeps this pattern going of like, hey, we can we can have representation, and we can explain other cultures, and we can elevate other people who haven't traditionally been our heroes without telling you about it and beating you over the head with it and lecturing you about it. Because they don't always do that without like, don't forget this, and it's like, all right. So that's where I get a little annoyed. No one likes to be preached at on any side.
Yeah.
I can't believe that part in the finale where like they revealed that one of his personalities was a black guy, and then he started giving a speech to cops about how they're wrong or something.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah,
that,
right.
I didn't see that coming either. You're right. Yeah.
And then he started rapping straight out of Compton.
Well, I thought it was
okay. Now you're racist.
He was like, I thought it was uncalled for. At the end, he was like, "Here's the real Moon Knight," and he pulls down his pants. I didn't think that was needed, but
Yeah, right.
That was Kyle last episode, actually.
Yeah, go back and watch that episode.
Yeah, but I mean, Moon Knight also just aesthetically, like one of the coolest looking. Like he's just so cool with the hood and just freaking the bandaging, like the bandaging.
It's like a weird dark white, like an old mummy white, basically.
Yeah. It just looks so cool, and I didn't actually know I didn't know what his weapons were. Like I didn't know that about him. So the way that kind of works is cool.
Crescent moon blades.
Yeah,
but the different personalities have different weapons too. So Mr. Knight has like the Daredevil batons, you know.
So when I was seeing those images online, I thought people were saying something about bad guys. So in my head, that's what I thought that was like. The other.
Oh, okay.
So I was confused when that happened. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. So then I was like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. It's like a different visual style for kind of, I thought people were saying that particular thing was like, that's the bad guy, or like they're bringing that bad guy in, or I don't know if people were misinformed or I was reading it wrong, but that was really cool. I really enjoyed that kind of visual representation of the two different things going on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you guys like his Batman voice?
His Batman?
Me. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like,
we're gonna save Conchu.
Wait, what?
Moon Knight.
Where are the rabbits going?
Honestly, a little educational, right? With the Egyptian gods and all that stuff. I thought it was really cool.
I haven't learned about Egyptian stuff since like grade school or middle school. Whenever we learned about that, and I always found it fascinating.
The Field of Reeds.
We all grew up watching The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, so it's like our generation, we kind of have this kind of like long lost love for that era, that and stuff like that in that culture. So it was cool to get reminded about who Osiris was and who like the ladder of gods are and stuff like that. And it was,
and that whole thing with like the scales and weighing the heart with the scale, like that whole thing was really kind of interesting. I was like, we get some really interesting visual representations of what that theology / mythology is, and I just did a really good job. I literally can't tell you guys how much I love this show, Yeah.
Where sometimes I feel a little apprehensive to be like, I full-blown love Doctor Strange, which I think I do. But this show, I have no questions about. I don't need to sleep on it, like there's no question to me that like this will be one that I revisit and watch over and over again. And, and I really hope we get more. It was very cool. They talk about it just being a one and done type of thing or whatever. It's just like, it's so popular, even though the reviews were actually kind of lukewarm. The court of public opinion love it. People love the show. So.
I think this show completely deserves to get more of its story told. And I actually maybe they will. I don't need them to be like, oh, and here's when Thor visited him and I don't need them to tie it in. But
if you want to do a Midnight Sun thing, that's fine. Like where him and Ghost Rider and everybody like team up.
I don't know if you got.
I don't need that.
I don't need them to. I'm cool.
You know what I want him to do? I want to see him beat up like pedophiles and robbers like on the streets of New York, like in the comic books, where he's just like mercilessly.
Well, then him and Daredevil could hang out, and Punisher. They might all get along, I guess, in that case.
They do in the comics.
I don't think this is really a spoiler because
they get along very well.
They cut it out, but the director or writer or whatever was saying that there were supposed to be a couple of cameos from Eternals.
They did
because there's that whole obviously the Eternals have been around for.
They probably cut Druig because Druig sucks. That's the joke in Eternals. Sorry. You haven't seen that movie, which I don't blame you
for. I could be wrong, but I feel like they scaled back the planned involvement of that French actor who died tragically earlier this year, and I could be wrong.
So he's actually the Joker to this character's Batman. So like in the comics, he falls into a chemical of vats and like becomes all like disfigured and becomes insane, and he becomes the opposite of Moon Knight. And like they're the Joker and Batman of that story. But yes, that actor sadly died, and I think that they did pull back.
So which character actor?
He's the guy who's on the horse.
In it. He's very briefly in it.
You remember, like they go and visit like the art tour or whatever.
Episode 3 maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that actor died, and I remember that they announced that he was playing a significant role, and it's not like it was insignificant, but it was for one episode and it was relatively brief, and then it just felt like maybe there was more that they had originally filmed or planned on him, but maybe not. Maybe that was it, and then they had planned on him coming back. He was planned to be
like, you know, exactly. I think that's what it was. Is that he was planned to come back in a
different. They might recast
cast,
that role because it's an important role, maybe for this.
They might, but Marvel's been on a really big kick about not recasting stuff lately. So they're like, we just if people die, it's too bad. You know, it's like
that's true. Although if they did recast him, people probably would forget who that guy was. It was pretty small.
It was pretty small. Yeah. That first show. Easier to get away with that than Black Panther, obviously. You know.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah. No, I think it's fair to say we all really enjoyed the show. It's definitely worth the watch. And I thought it was fantastic. So we actually had planned to do this Kahoot quiz, but it's better if we've got 4 of you to take it. So I'll skip it, and we're also at 2 hours. So I'll just move on to headlines and wrap us up for this week. But it is a fun one, so we'll do that.
Headlines, gonna have some headlines. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I needed that.
Was that supposed to be like Crossfire?
Crossfire.
That's just the headlines music.
That was just our little segment. What do we call it? Stinger.
Jeff didn't even sing that. Tim made a drop. Like that was a drop.
That wasn't Jeff. That wasn't Jeff.
Headlines, get the cuss out headlines.
Like how it goes all throaty. It's getting more so every time.
It's getting uncomfortable.
God.
All right, this first one is just for Kyle and for nobody else. So everyone else tune out. Guys, on May 10th, not just Eiyuden Chronicle Rising is coming up, but also award-winning indie game Unpacking is coming 4 and 5.
I really thought this was going to be something for me, and you kind of broke my heart just now.
Kyle, don't worry.
I had some like rock and roll news.
But hear me out, Kyle. You're Vikings in this version, so you have to unpack.
You unpack Viking stuff. Okay. How many blood eagles are in this? Do y'all even understand that reference?
Kyle, I'll buy you the special edition. It comes with an actual box full of crap.
I would rather you just not. You know?
It's coming in the mail. Don't worry, buddy.
Yeah, I don't have space for it. I'm gonna have to
That is amazing. All right, so Mario Strikers Battle League. Nintendo just published over 4 minutes of gameplay footage, so you can go check that out if you're interested in that game. Of course, we know that's the follow-up to the GameCube and Wii Mario Strikers games. It's going to support local multiplayer up to 8 players, 4 on each side, although the game typically is going to be 5-on-5 gameplay. The idea of Battle League, of course, is that you can join clubs online and battle it out that way. So the idea is to have like leagues, basically. You also collect equipment, which changes the way you look and their stats.
Do you know what the single player is like in this game?
I don't. The gameplay overview probably shows some of that, but they really focus more on the multiplayer elements.
I just don't have friends, so.
I remember in that initial trailer.
There is a single player, and you do unlock a lot of equipment.
Yeah, I figured there was some kind of.
I think it has different like stats and stuff too, right?
Yeah,
it has like the equipment has stats.
Getting this game because I think it looks awesome. And I remember playing the GameCube game and really liking it. So yeah.
So go check that out. But just under, actually, it's just under 5 minutes of gameplay footage. You can go check out that Nintendo published. It wasn't like one of those weird leaked things like we talked about with Skull and Bones last week. This is actually published and intended for you to watch because it comes out 1 month from this Wednesday, I think. So, all right. So Fortnite. This is the only reason this is significant is because Fortnite is now free to play, completely free to play, with no subscription required on Xbox Cloud. So I only say that it's significant because you can technically play it on your phone or whatever device you're playing on. And I think it's interesting because, we know that Epic Games and Apple just are best of friends.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, you're saying what I feel.
But if you've got an Xbox Cloud account, then you can play this. You can stream this on your device there. So it is their first of many planned free-to-play cloud games.
Oh, so you mean you don't have to be like sign up for the internet subscription?
You could you could just create an Xbox free account, just like, all right, here's my new username. I'm not going to sign up for your Game Pass. Yeah.
Apprehensive applause. Yeah.
Listen, I'll still never play Fortnite. I played it a couple times and it's not for me. But to me,
they added Star Wars characters. They added Star Wars characters to this game, and I will never play this game.
If they were
That's how serious I am about it.
If they were to have come to me and say, "Hey, what's the first game we should launch free to play?" I'd be like, "Fortnite, obviously. Like that's the one you should launch with."
If they put
for sure, this is a super good business move.
If they put like my favorite musician, I guess John Mayer or whatever. If they put him in the game, I would not only not play Fortnite, I would never listen to John Mayer again.
Wait. So if John Mayer says, "I'm going to do a virtual console inside or a concert inside of VR," you're not going to go into like Fortnite and What? Okay.
And in fact, I would unfollow him for several weeks.
Because there's like that's a real thing now, which I think is
And he would be
insane
mad.
to me. Like people like lining up into servers to watch a virtual concert, and like people getting mad they didn't have like the right like, spots to watch it at. Like,
right.
We live in a really messed up time, guys. Like this is
and it's
strongest timeline. Like,
don't worry, it's only getting better. Dan,
thanks for keeping it P, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
that's the P'est you can get.
So this Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake is a hot mess. I think it's
never coming out. You mean it doesn't exist?
So when they first announced it and showed it, and they're very proud of it, and they had this team that because they're from the right places, they're the ones who are best equipped to make this game. And I was like, okay, it's interesting, all right. And it's not going well because the game didn't look good. It didn't look like a remake. It looked like a weird remaster that wasn't even that great. And so the reaction was poor. And so they went back to the drawing board. It sounds like they actually heard that reaction, which is good. And now it's just been kind of radio silence. And now Ubisoft Montreal, who I don't think is anywhere near Persia, correct me if I'm wrong, they're going to be taking over development of this game. So this is their statement. This is their statement. This decision is an important step in the team building on the work achieved by Ubisoft Pune, and Ubisoft Mumbai will now take the time they need to regroup on the scope of the game and deliver you the best experience.
What do they? I don't know what that's the thing I don't understand. What's the scope thing? What do y'all think the scope thing means?
Dude, I just think they were making a bad game, and Ubisoft Montreal is going to make it good now. That's
so they
what I
got
think
slap on the wrist, and they need to go in the corner and think about what they did.
I think it was bad game.
Does that mean like are there discussions about like making this game bigger? Like the scope of the game's already built.
I think
the game's already out.
I think it's probably way too much like the original, and they wanted the remake to do more. That's the way I read into this. Is it didn't look good, and it's just too much like the same thing. Like we could have remastered this. This is supposed to be a remake. You're supposed to reimagine this, and
okay. That's kind of what I was getting at. Like, are they trying to change this game so much and add so much to it that like that just wasn't present? And like you said, they're just remastering.
But that could also equally piss people off. So
And I kind of always thought this was like a scene for scene. That's how it was always being pitched. So like,
isn't this game like 18 years old now? Like it's not.
It is. It was like first year GameCube is when this came out. Like,
there are
PS2,
people,
second year,
right? There are people who are graduating high school.
PS2, yeah.
People who are graduating high school now who this game had already been out before they were born. So it's it's okay to change the game up a little bit, I think.
And this game is one of the greats, man. Like it's great.
Right.
Like the original, it's super good, But like,
I loved that game.
It's you can make that game again. Like,
well, if you remember, they kind of did. So they not only did they do like they did their trilogy, right? And they got all rock and roll by the end of it, and then they did kind of that kind of hippie version where you can't really die, and there's a princess who's always helping pick you up off the edge.
It was like a reboot, right? Or they were attempting to reboot it. Yeah.
But then they did
you only fought one-on-one fights in that game too, which was so weird.
They actually did a standard just Prince of Persia game. I don't know if you guys remember this. It was it's one-off standalone. It wasn't that one with the princess ghost girl helping you. It was a different one.
It was the original one, right?
It was like Sands of Time again, and it was kind of like.
But it was based off the movie. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, I don't think it was. I think it was meant to be like the next game in the series. They were trying to like restart it, but then Assassin's Creed took over. But that was a pretty solid game. It was just Prince of Persia.
Let's see. Yeah, Prince of Persia. Hold on, 2010. What was it?
Because the one with the girls, like
the Forgotten Sands.
Right?
There we go.
The Forgotten Sands. There you go.
Yeah, Forgotten Sands.
So it was very much like.
I might not remember that one. That's crazy. Okay.
It was very it did not like blow the doors off with sales, but I remember playing it and being like, this is a good game. Like they made a really fun Prince of Persia game here. So
and it was a course correction after that cell shaded one, which like people like really rejected.
It was a course correction.
On the Wikipedia, it's saying the storyline of the console versions of that sentence doesn't make sense. Takes place during the 7-year gap between Sands of Time and Warriors
Within. Cool. So it was like a re-sequel.
Dude, I still remember when Warrior Within came out, and it was like, now I listen to Mudvayne. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no. Who was it? Wasn't Mudvayne?
No, it was Godsmack.
Godsmack, thank you.
Godsmack.
Stand alone.
The song was in the trailer. You're like, that's a pretty good song for a trailer.
You're right.
And then it plays 1,000 times in the game. And you're like, oh, they got it for the game too. I don't know if I like.
It's
this.
like, oh, here comes a crunchy fight scene. It's like,
yeah. That game was pretty edgy and pretty cool though. Like you could throw your swords everywhere. I
also thought Two Thrones is a pretty solid game too. Like they're fun
games.
games.
Two Thrones is awesome. I like the whole trilogy.
They just had a very like kind of early 2000s vibe to them and their style and music. But anyway, hey, another news you guys don't care about. Blizzard's revealed their new mobile game called Warcraft Arclight Rumble. So if you're into Warcraft or mobile games, which I'm not into either,
you guys, Diablo Immortal's coming out this summer. You guys excited?
Hey, that's coming to PC too, though. So
whatever. Yeah, because of the major backlash because of it only being a mobile game. Right. But yes, hey, at least they listen. So.
You're right. The biggest news I thought of the week was that Embracer Group is buying Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Montreal from Square Enix. And it's basically their entire Western development arm, and it's only
because Japanese is racist or whatever.
Actually, I actually have no opinions on this or thoughts.
It's $300 million, like all of this, and this includes Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain. I mean, this is a huge purchase. $300 million is not that much.
Like bandits, man.
All right, so I love Final Fantasy and all, but like, what the f are you doing, Square? Like, why are you so ignorant with these studios that you've had? Like. They sit here and they praise the Japanese game, not even just Final Fantasy. Oh, the sales were fine. Yeah, Babylon's Fall. Great. Yeah, we have a rollout of new content coming, and freaking Guardians makes a few million. Maybe it could have made more.
Outriders, didn't they publish Outriders?
Yeah, not profitable. What
still hasn't made its money back.
Yeah,
still hasn't made.
They lost $200 million between Avengers and Guardians as well.
That's right. They made it back with the sale right here.
But I wonder if Guardians probably did decent, right? Like maybe not.
I don't know why they're coupling those together because they're Marvel properties. They're like, yeah, both of those Marvel things like lost this money. I'm like, well, one was obviously better than the other. I don't know.
Yeah, like clearly, even the Tomb Raider games, like those sold well, and like even those, they would be like, oh, they didn't sell. It sold under units? Expectations, and it's like, what is your damn
Didn't
expectations?
That trilogy actually do really well,
I thought so.
It moved 90 million units. If I'm not
90
mistaken.
million?
I was just reading like across all three. Yeah,
that's
but,
crazy.
It is crazy.
Hitman also, they'd always diss on Hitman. Yeah, under expectation. Like it, I don't know.
It's crazy, man. But I don't know much about Embracer Group, to be honest with you. So I do know that they own companies like THQ Nordic, Deep Silver, Saber Interactive, Gearbox Software. So it's not like they don't know what they're doing. They've got development studios that are churning out games of varying quality, to be fair.
Yeah.
But this I think is, to me, as a big fan, a more recent fan of the Deus Ex games. I didn't really get into those until Mankind Divided, and I liked Mankind Divided and Human Revolution. I liked both of those games. And so,
even though Human Revolution's like half a game, but I still love that game.
You're that's accurate. But Square all but said, yeah, we're not going to make any more of those. They pretty much said that at one point.
They literally did, like in more or less where it's like it was one of those things where I was like, okay,
there was supposed to be DLC and stuff, and they were like,
I mean, there was supposed to be a whole second part to that game, like via DLC. I don't think it was ever going to be a Deus Ex Human Revolution 2, but we were going to get a whole second half of that game via DLC that was going to finish that story, and they were like, nah, not enough people bought it. We don't care.
Yeah, I think what was it? Embracer Group's like last big purchase was Gearbox. They have Gearbox.
Gearbox, right? Yeah, that's what I
do Borderlands.
This is a really weird collection of different types of vibes and studios.
Is it Coke? Coke Media?
I think it's Coke. Yeah.
I almost said cock. That's weird. Deep Silver, Saber Interactive. Saber Interactive is another one of those like they still make Sabre. THQ Nordic and Saber Interactive, to me, those and Deep Silver, those are the companies I think of when I think of like who's making AA kind of like Swimming in Seven games for 30, 40 bucks. That's who's doing it right now.
Embracer sounds like an investor company. That's all they do is just buy other companies.
And
they sound like the company in Succession. just all they do is fund other ideas, and
maybe it's
they flop or they do well or whatever.
And if you buy enough of them, if you have a few flops, it doesn't matter, So like they just got 50 really diverse IP that like Square was just sitting on. We're talking like Legacy of Kain, like talking some like really big, like long lost stuff that people love.
Yeah.
I don't know how well a Legacy of Kain game would sell now, but I think there's enough people out there.
Yeah. If they did if they made a really good version.
I don't know if Square is publicly traded or not, but I feel like this deal was underpriced and it should
way underpriced. We're talking 50 bankable IP, you know. Maybe
Yeah.
not all 50,
dude,
but like at least
come on.
half of them.
Microsoft has to be like, you were gonna sell it for that much? We would have bought that like.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
Sony
for
and
real.
Microsoft are pissed right now. You know, like they're so. I guarantee they're fuming right now.
It's almost like they just were like trying to push them out the door real quick. Because then also like the whole thing with
they've always treated them.
The blockchains and NFTs, wasn't that all wrapped up into the reasoning too?
It
like,
was.
Oh,
They specifically, and what the thing
which I
is
know
with
is
NFT,
on, which I know you have on here. So
I was gonna say, with like 2 days later, after they were like, "We're gonna go all on NFT," that whole market crashed.
Dude, I'm telling it's the CEO, it's the CEO Matsuda. The guy's, I'm sorry, Tim, the guy's a fucking idiot. Like
Yeah.
he's basically the Japanese version of Bobby Kotick minus the
But
sexual allegation stuff and all that
being racist.
stuff.
Cut that.
He just banked on Monopoly
Cut that,
money
cut that,
and
cut that.
he lost. So
Like
I
he
don't
just
know.
sucks, dude. He's a sucky CEO. Guy needs to go. Like he
And
just needs
that's
to go.
I actually, when Dan says that, because I know you're a big fan of a lot of the stuff that Square Enix
Oh,
creates.
of course.
Are
So
you
hearing
into Square Enix,
say
Dan?
It's a little bit.
So yeah, I
Big
listen.
Gallon Wonderworld fan.
Yes.
It gives me
Tattooed on my ass.
I was already happy with
Babylon's Fall on his other cheek.
I was happy with what was happening
Yes.
with stuff like
Yes.
Hitman, and then seeing that the new Tomb Raider is in development. So it's not like I felt like, oh no, they're just not doing anything. And I loved Guardians of the Galaxy. Obviously, it was like my second favorite game of the year last year.
Same.
Isn't it our Cody?
And so it was our as a group, we picked it as our favorite as a collective group. So it's not like I was sitting there thinking, man, they're doing nothing. But it is exciting to hear and to think like, all right, what about a larger their umbrella group who's going to truly allow them to create what they want to create without kind of these mind games that it sounds like the leadership at Square has been playing, and kind of like really pulling the rug out from underneath them with comments like, this is underselling, this is underwhelming, you're not doing what you're supposed, like, yikes, man. So
how could you make those things like public after they just won like every award at the game? You know, like for Guardian specifically, like it's just so the audacity, like it's just wouldn't you see that like, hey, they're winning awards, let's invest, you know, but instead like they just throw a lot of like
let's actually
shade.
market this thing and let's
really
support
weird.
it.
I'm telling you, it's the higher ups there, and that Matsuda guy. He's got to go.
He was just like, put it on Poor Pass. I don't care anymore.
It's not making any money.
Hey, speaking of major flops, NFT sales have declined 92%.
No, get
since
out of
their
here.
peak.
Best news of the week right there.
Shocking.
Yeah,
Is
this is the
there
kind
a-
of thing that I would love to just see go away. Like, there's some things that I'm like, yeah, it's here to stay. What can you do? Like microtransactions, and that became a thing. I was like, that's annoying, but hopefully it doesn't ruin games. So far, it hasn't ruined the games I like. So
Well, there
that's
hasn't
the
been
most
enough
part.
time, right? Like I think they were still developing. Like there's a lot of people in the middle of developing a lot of NFT focused stuff, and this news makes me so
Well,
happy.
I was saying that
Like-
microtransactions haven't ruined games.
Oh, that's true.
And
yeah.
what I was gonna say was NFTs. I feel like they were going to ruin stuff that I really like, so I was nervous about it. But
see.
now
I was
seeing
nervous. Yeah.
it flop, I'm like, good.
And I hope it
Please.
continues. Let
Same.
it crash all
Like,
the way
and-
down
and-
into the.
Go
And
away.
I mean good in the pettiest way possible. Like if you invested in this, I think you're an idiot. I think you might as well have been trying to buy Monopoly money, you know, and use that. Like I think you know,
count it
and
as
like,
real
and if
money.
this affects you in any way, good.
I mean, good like Donald Glover when he goes, good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So I will say, I think crypto bros and their ilk, whatever. I think the way they're trying to spin this is, well, now's the time to invest. You know, it's cheaper, and
You know what? And I
Yeah,
hope-
you know what?
No.
Please do. I hope
Yeah.
you do.
they do that every time with Bitcoin. I can only imagine how they're spinning this one.
I still don't even understand. It's images tied to the blockchain. Like I don't
They're not
understand.
And you can't
fungible.
funge it. You
Not
can't
fun-
funge
it's-
it.
Don't-
it's
What does that
fungible.
mean?
Dan,
It just means blockchain.
Dan, you're
That's
being
it.
so fungy right now.
Because
Yeah,
I could
dude.
just screen grab the
You're
damn
being
image.
very
like-
fungible right now. You know?
I
You know
don't
what?
care.
This is why Derek's
Uh,
not here, because he lost everything on NFTs.
Yeah, he invested. Yeah,
So
They're
sorry,
gonna start a new rumor about him every week until he
he,
goes.
he invested on some alpha NFT. You know, not fungible alpha NFT.
Couldn't funge it, bro. He tried. Couldn't.
Only betas funge their tokens. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means.
What does that
I
even
really
mean?
and I didn't want to be the one to explain it to you because I don't get it. So
Fungible is not a real word. As far as I'm concerned, it's not.
I think I
yeah,
shared.
let me see in the Webster dictionary where fungible is.
It's just
Yeah.
not a
I think I
real
shared
word.
a
It might
video
be
with
there.
you
What if we
guys.
look we probably look idiots. It's probably there. I don't know.
Yeah,
I shared
I
a
know.
video with you guys of a YouTuber who tried to explain. She does like conversations with herself basically,
Sure.
and she tried to explain NFTs to herself. She's like, and you can't funge it, and it was like the exact same what we're saying, like because of the blockchain. Because
Yeah.
just look at that. Just look at that picture. Try to funge it.
Yeah.
Boom.
Don't do it.
Blockchain.
Blockchain.
Block. Like Wonder Woman trying to deflect like.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. I like the idea of like water cooler gossip too. Like, hey, did you hear about Dan? He funged his tokens.
It's so preposterous.
Oh,
It's so
he's such an
preposterous.
idiot. He's such an idiot.
I
He's a
feel like
token funger.
I feel like
no.
one
We
day
gotta-
people
we gotta
started
do it.
talking gobbledygook, and like I just couldn't, I couldn't keep up, and I was just trying to pretend like I understood what's going on. So this crashing makes me feel like I don't have to worry about
Oh, for sure.
the whole thing
Yeah.
that I don't have to learn about.
I hope
so.
it's
like
not
a picture.
temporary.
It's like a dumb picture of a duck or something that people are buying, and you're like,
Well, for a little while there, people would be like,
so
yeah,
it's art. So you're buying art.
You can go create your
Yeah.
own NFT, and I was like, you can funge your own token. I don't get this. I don't get.
Kyle can't
man.
handle this.
I'm like, someone explain the verb funge to me, please.
I feel like it's used too many different ways for it to mean one thing. Like I don't know.
I hate it. I hate it.
I may be super ignorant on it. I don't know.
Well,
but-
You sound like
for
80-year-old
example,
dudes, but I don't even care.
This podcast is super long because we keep funging. We need to keep moving.
we just keep funging around, bro.
We keep funging.
We need our own blockchain.
Contextually, I know what you mean, but I don't know if that's the definition of the word.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? I'm actually starting to really enjoy the word funge. I'm gonna start using it a lot more.
Oh yeah,
Funge.
it's a lot of fun. I mean, fun.
I eat sponge.
Don't funge
when I eat
yourself.
steaks,
Yeah.
You know, like, does that count?
So like tomorrow's Saturday, and inevitably at some point in the afternoon, it's gonna be gorgeous here tomorrow, and I'm gonna look at my boys and be like, "You haven't gone outside at all. You just been funging around the house." They're gonna be like, "What?"
Like, Dad, you're not using that word right. And they're like, they get it. You don't get it. And they get it.
Dad, how do you know about my blockchains, Dad?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Block.
gosh.
All right. Well, listen, I saw a rumor that a Mafia prequel might be in development. So this is a report from Kotaku that Hangar 13's UK studio Brighton is leading development on a prequel set before the events of the Mafia trilogy.
Hold on.
Unreal
How much
Engine 5.
earlier could you get? How much earlier could you really get with Mafia
Compared to
If you
Mafia
were
1.
starting-
Okay, so Mafia, the prequel,
one.
takes place the day before Mafia 1 starts. Right?
It's
It's a
just a
really
24
busy day.
Yeah,
It's the craziest day ever in this guy's career.
It's like Rome has fallen and Italy splits up into mafias.
See,
Okay, to
I
keep
know
it
that-
P, I'm stoked for this game.
So am I.
Any more
Listen,
Mafia?
but I
please.
kind of
Oh, for
would have.
sure.
I would have loved for them to keep going with the Mafia 3 setting in the story. I thought that was so cool, that 60s, 70s vibe, and
Yeah.
being in New
Actually,
Orleans.
just
like,
give me
I love
80s, man. You don't have to do Vice City carbon
Yeah.
copy. Just give me
Yeah.
80s, whatever.
I
Because
love
there's
it. Yeah.
there's a lot of cocaine they were dealing with. Hey, how you doing?
Well,
I
and
see.
the way that the Mafia
Cocaine.
operates is really different decade to decade. So like
Yeah.
to see it in the next like version of itself, which they very much existed during that time, like it would be interesting to kind of see what that looked like. So
I mean, sure, that game ended up being me just hiding around a corner, whistling. A dumb idiot would walk closer to me, and I would just silently stab him, and then call the next one over. Like that's what that game ended up being for me for quite a lot of. But it was still fun.
Yeah,
and
still fun.
It has one of the coolest like I'm heading to the final showdown moments when you're driving your car. I don't know if you guys remember this. You're driving your car out to, I think it's like a construction site or something where the final showdown's going to happen, and it does that. What's that song called? Dark Moon Rising or no? Pale Moon Rising. What's that song called?
Bad Moon Rising?
Bad Moon Rising, I think. But
isn't that like a CCR song? Isn't
it's a really yes, but
about?
it's that really dark version of it. That I think they used it in Walking Dead as well at one point. But it's a
Oh.
dark and slow version of it, and it's a really deep voice that this guy that's singing it. And man,
I wonder if it's the guy from Sons of Anarchy who did like a lot of their
it
covers.
just like hit me as I'm driving, and he starts singing this. It's really slow and soft version of that. I was like, dude, this is crazy. Like I just loved that moment. Driving.
I think the story in that game is awesome.
I love it.
I think the third game is excellent.
Yeah.
I think it got dumped on really hard for like no reason. Like
That game was a lot of fun. Speaking of fun, Summer Game Fest is officially dated for the month of June. It's basically replacing, one of the main events you'd see during E3. I think last year he actually or 2 years ago. Did he do it during E3? I can't remember, but it's on
Around the
Thursday.
timeframe, yeah.
It's on
Yeah.
Thursday, June 9th. It's a couple days before the Microsoft Bethesda showcase will air. So they're kind of
Microthesda.
they're timing them around each other. And if Nintendo publishes a direct sometime in that first half of June, we essentially have ourselves an E3 at that point.
And if Digital Devolver posts something that
Please,
week,
Digital
you know,
Devolver.
come on, guys, we're in, man. It's E3.
Listen,
it feels like
You just
E3.
gotta
E3
shoot it
has failed
remotely
us.
too. You don't have to go anywhere. Just shoot
It's
it.
like E3.
Yeah.
E3 has failed us
Basically
again.
E3.
Keely is gonna bring what we need. Bring the
Keely
games.
is a saint of the industry right
Yes,
now. So
yes.
he's just really keeping it together, which is great. So
That's right.
Yes.
And last but not least, I don't know why I put my comment on here. Every week we have to have news about possible news on Final Fantasy 16. Do we really have to keep doing this, Dan? Explain to me why.
Yes.
There's rumor that there
Who
might be news.
cares?
So
There might be news about news about news.
hey Jeff, why don't you shut your hole? So
What I say matters. That's why.
So producer Naoki Yoshida revealed a new trailer, 16 trailer, will appear soon. The information was shared during a special Near Reincarnation, which I think is like the mobile game, and Final Fantasy 14 crossover live stream. Oh, so no, maybe it was, I don't know. But he said, yeah, the trailer's basically been done, but then it was delayed for some reason or another. And he also shared that the development team has spent a fair amount of time polishing and debugging, and that it is pretty much complete. So, I mean, we're basically at the tail end, right? Which is like all the hard stuff.
You know,
Or like
I feel like when we
ironing out all the
started,
kinks.
I feel like when we started this podcast, Dan was predicting that Final Fantasy 16 would come out that Christmas. Like I feel like this game is just an endless tease.
Dan, I'm gonna come in for some backup here. All right. I firmly believe that a trailer is coming soon, and you and I are dying on the hill that he said that when we see that trailer, shortly after, we're gonna get a release.
Well, that's what he kept saying. Yeah.
I predict we see that trailer soon, and I predict this game comes out sometime August to November. Like I really feel confident in that.
I mean, like when he's saying pretty much complete, it's like, well, right. So it's just they're ironing out the kinks at the end, right?
So a few more months of debugging, right? Like 90 more days of debugging. Like
so unless something random happens where it's like, oh no, we got to fix this, and then it does get pushed into early next year, then I mean,
it's Q1 next year at the latest.
Yeah,
you know,
but he has continuously said. I mean, then obviously there was the delay of there was supposed to be a trailer last year, I think during Tokyo Game Show, but then they delayed that because of COVID. Blah 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 blah.
And I think COVID put everything back like 4 to 6 months. You know, like.
But he has kept basically consistently saying when we show you something next, the game is coming pretty soon after that. So
all right.
So yeah,
I'll believe it when I see it. Jeff,
believe it, Tim.
Nobody cares in the notes.
I believe it in my balls, Tim.
Oh my god!
God damn it, Jeff! You're gonna play it too because you liked 7 Remix.
I am gonna play it too. It's gonna be fun.
I'm gonna watch the trailer and I'm gonna be excited when I see it. I'm gonna be excited when they announce a release date and when the game comes out. But
this is me talking about the AEW game every week. I do have news about that, by the way.
I'm happy for you too, Jeff. I'm happy for your wrestling game. See, that's how it works.
I do actually have news, and it's not good about the AEW game.
Yeah. Let's close with bad news. I like this.
Yeah, let's do it. I want to leave you with the worst taste in your mouth if you're excited for this.
Start your week with bad news. You know?
I just want a fungy taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I'm gonna funge the entire vibe.
All
of
up in my face.
I'm gonna leave more confused about what that word means after this podcast ends.
Well, if you had a blockchain,
I thought I had a hand on the wheel. There's no wheel anymore.
That's why you need a blockchain. That's right.
So Ukes has been the developer that's been partnering with AEW to make the game, and apparently AEW has invested. I've already mentioned before they've invested millions into it, and allegedly that's way over budget. They're way over budget. That's why their roster is going to be like 50 people starting out, and they still have to iron out like multiplayer online and stuff like that. They don't know how that's going to work. And apparently, Kenny Omega.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, I know. Kenny Omega is like one of their top wrestlers, but he's out injured, so he's been helping with the game. But he's not a game developer. He's never done this before, and the rumor is, and this came from a gaming website, not a wrestling website. The rumor is that Ukes is kind of taking advantage of him not really knowing a lot about gaming development, and they're kind of like by that like setting their own deadlines and expectations and stuff, where he doesn't really know how to set those expectations. So like, apparently it sounds like it's a rocky development.
That's so literally a wrestler in there,
They
like trying to
enslaved the
make a
wrestler
game.
to
Like,
yeah,
game
he's
us
just a
to go to
gamer.
game.
Like, I mean,
Dude, the only
Yeah.
wrestler I trust with video games is Stone Cold.
Stone Cold
I
Steve
think-
Austin.
Breath of the Wild.
That guy's got great taste in
What?
Zelda games, I tell you.
What?
Burgers, not so much.
That's
We are
really
at-
unfortunate.
Sonic, hell yeah.
Dude, that's really good. That is really good.
Don't give me none of that Five Guys bullshit. You give me some Sonic. Hell yeah.
I think we can all agree he's sponsored by Sonic. He's got
Yeah, absolutely.
sponsored by Sonic. All right,
No
well, that's,
Texan is going Sonic, hell yeah, I promise you.
that does it
Yeah,
for us this
Sonic.
week. We've got a quiz we'll do next week. I like those Kahoot quizzes, so we'll do another one of those. We'll probably talk some Ayuden Chronicle Rising next week, and
Yes.
probably some unpacking on
Salt-
PS5.
Salt and sacrifice.
Oh,
I really, you know what? Really hope not with that last one.
Kyle,
Let's
it's coming
skip
in the
over that
mail,
one.
Kyle. It's coming in the mail.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
man.
knew it.
Thank you
I knew
guys
you were
for
gonna play
listening.
it one day.
Thank you guys for watching. We're out of here. See ya.
Give me a
Wiener.
hell yeah.
Big wiener. Big wiener. Just
Fungy.
a big, fungy.
Fun
That was a fungy time, yeah.